got a lot of friends, and they can have my things when we're dead. But we gonna live forever. We gonna live forever.
Welcome, fellow low-value males, to another episode for the fucking boys, the homies, the fellas, the amigos. This episode has been brought to you by Athletic Greens, Butcher Box, Raycon. And one of the best ways to support this podcast is to support the sponsors, use the codes, and help us by subscribing to the Patreon. Catch up to all these sucker podcasts that aren't for the boys. Help the boys' numbers skyrocket to the moon.
To the moon.
More importantly, starting at this episode, Danny
I
mentioned.
just want to start this episode by addressing some of the comments I made last week
controversy
regarding Drake, and more importantly, my cavalier attitude.
It was cavalier
towards flushing of condoms. So I prepared a statement.
Okay, I'd love to hear it. Thank you.
Which camera? This one right
Hey,
here?
I'd say you go into your camera, yeah.
Okay. To all the boys and female boys that were disappointed in me for my comments about flushing domes down the shitter, I just want to say that I have read many of your comments and I promise to do better in the future. To all the plumber boys that my words have impacted, I just want you to know that I see you and I hear you. Just because you can flush something down the shitter doesn't mean you should. A distinction that I have painfully learned this past week. Through a lot of introspection, I will get through this a stronger person, specifically one that not only does not flush condoms down the toilet, but someone that doesn't use condoms at all. And that's all I will be saying about that matter.
I just want to say that I support a friend of mine. I personally wouldn't say those words. I don't stand behind everything he says, and every word of yours does not represent me necessarily. Didn't represent the views of the Boyscast.
I know, and I apologize.
I appreciate that you take accountability and you've learned from this. You've become a better person, and he has agreed to eat an entire pack of condoms.
Yes.
To teach him to say that, you know what? Have I put the
It's like when you get busted smoking a cigarette. Your dad's like, eat the whole pack.
Well, he said, you know what? I've done this to the toilet, and I want to put myself in that toilet shoes and put myself in a human toilet.
What a controversy, though. Like, literally, I couldn't believe it.
You and Chamath both
Me
had
and
a hard
Chamath,
week. We'll
have
talk
been
about him later in the
getting
episode.
Lit up. People are like, fucking, that really struck a nerve with
Get
the
in
boys.
trouble by
You know what it is? Because
podcasting.
I think there's so many guys, and guys are like, they're more just like, yeah, I guess you can, but you shouldn't.
Yeah,
And
no
then
one was happy with
People were
you.
getting technical about it, too. They were like, yeah, there's like this grinder, and then it gets stuck in the grind. By the way, I always tie them off, because people are like, they fill up or whatever. You always got to tie them off, but still.
I appreciate you taking accountability.
Yeah, I take accountability, and that's the closest I've ever felt to getting canceled before in my life. And
he's had a few pretty good close
I've
calls,
had
too.
some close calls, and that was the one where I go, I really feel like I just let everyone down. That's...
You're actually just sort of bummed. Yeah.
it's just like,
Sorry to do this to you guys.
Yeah, just let everybody down, because like there was like a bunch of people who were just like, they're plumbers, and then the only ones were like, there were some people who were plumbers. They're like, yeah, plumber here. It's like, you shouldn't, but go ahead, because more work for me. And I was like, all right.
And you've had a lot of people were saying that they had so many toilets they've unclogged. And the one guy, he was like, yo, that's how the guy, there was all these toilets in his thing, and that's how he found out his wife was smashing dudes.
Really?
In the house, yeah. That was one guy said that.
Interesting. That's another reason not to fucking...
The people sort of felt like it was one of those situations where everyone like gets together and you set your boy up with this like hot chick, and he comes back and then he's like, yeah, she wasn't interested. I didn't hit it. And then we all go, that's how everyone's just disappointed in you. It's like, we're not mad. Obviously it is what it is. We're just, had a little more. We put our faith in you.
I know.
Well, let's start out with the Australian Prime Minister, or whatever he calls himself, the head dingo.
Mr. Prime Minister.
Yeah, the fucking non-Prime Minister. But this honestly felt like a Key and Peele sketch. So basically, where he has the black translator sort of thing.
Yeah.
So he had an Indigenous person that was translating, but basically the person just says like a few slang words.
Yeah.
But they're just speaking English.
Yeah.
It's
But like kind of quiet, like just with an accent.
It's incredible. It's one of those things that just seems way more racist, where they're like, we're doing this to be inclusive, and it just seems so much more racist.
Message to keep Aboriginal people safe.
Indigenous message a proper important one to keep everybody safe one.
You can die from the corona or get really sick.
You can pass away from this corona, or you can get really sick one.
It's just like they just add the word one a lot.
They have the word one, but
Yeah,
also
like one is just...
like they obviously have the word die. So he's like, you could die from corona, and she's like, you could pass away
Yeah,
from corona.
well, they're like, yeah, they don't, the Aborigine in Australia, they don't say die. They only say pass away. So they're seeing that and they go,
What? Yeah.
let's die.
I was just loving the idea of they need to do the other ones. They have like 5 of those. They have a Canadian translator before him. He's like, you might fucking hit the bricks, dude. He goes, you might, I just want to say smoking is bad for your lungs. Like everyone's watching one. And someone goes, sir, hacking darts isn't that great for you, eh? Those against
Fucking
the
hacking darts is going to put you up in the old penalty box in the sky.
He goes, those who are against the vaccines are operating in bad faith. He goes, a couple fucking pylons who won't get vaxxed. Or you just have Italian American. He's like, you just do everyone. And then he says a thing, and then 5 guys, the Canadian guy, fucking darts, eh? And then the Italian community, he goes, restaurants will be closed. And then the Italian guy goes, no pizza pie here. Oh, we, oh, hey. And he goes, and that would be a problem. Translates that. That would be a problem.
It's going to be a problem.
I just want to say to the girls, please show your breasts. I'm going to just transit over to my Indian translator. Open bubs.
Please open.
Isn't that so crazy though? The translator's not saying anything different.
I know. It's like not even like a fucking sign language.
Well, who possibly
English.
knows
Just
that? Who can speaks like her but doesn't? It's basically the equivalent here of being like, and I was asking someone that, and they come over and he goes, I asked them that.
Yeah, it's like totally. It's fucking insane. Well, Australia's not a very serious country. I don't know if you want to start with the other Australian.
They are serious about things. No, I wanted to start with after that. Fucking the woke Pope. He did a little 180.
Yeah.
So basically, Pope Francis, who's been out there kind of saying like, if you're fucking going to the bathhouse, it's actually pretty like the Lord's pretty down with that, right?
Oh yeah.
He did sort of a 180, which whatever. It's only funny because it's the church. But he sort of came out now, and Pope Francis did a speech. And he did a speech in Italian.
Yeah.
But the only word that he said in English was cancel culture. He kept going, what does Italian say? Yeah, what about cancel culture? He goes, he denounces cancel culture, and he says it leaves no room for freedom of expression. Pope Francis warned on Monday about the one-track thinking caused by cancel culture, as well as the spread of misinformation related to COVID-19. So there's 2 things he don't like.
Cancel culture.
And misinformation.
Which is, some people are getting canceled because of the spread of misinformation.
It's the thing. It's a bit of a conflicted
You think he's
message.
going on Rogan?
I think that's the thing, though. He's going to go on Rogan, and then he's also going to tweet that Rogan's part of the problem. He's sort of torn by which one he's on.
Rogan, he's like smoking a blunt like fucking Elon Musk.
Well, I think they did like a census at the church, and they're like, hey, this being gay sick thing hasn't been resonating.
Yeah.
What do people like? He's like, there's a lot of people out there that don't like cancel culture. And he goes, and there's also a lot of people out there that don't like misinformation. He goes, got it. I'll blend those together.
You think they just have something really bad coming down the pipeline, so he just wants to get in front of it by being like, hey, you know.
100%.
But like soon though, like something big,
yeah.
like soon. And they go, just so you know, against cancel culture. Don't like being canceled.
Yeah, cancel culture is bad.
Jesus would have never canceled anybody.
Anyways, if you happen to see a video of me sort of at the pub the other day yelling the N-word.
I mean, if there's anybody who's ever been more canceled than Jesus.
The fact that I was
Ultimate
rolling
cancel.
the R when I did that. And the thing is, though, the church was obviously the original cancel culture place, right?
Yeah.
So that's another part of it where he's sort of like, hey, it's kind of our thing a little bit. You know what I mean? People are out there, canceling people, and he's kind of saying like, I mean, that's another thing. If you're into canceling, don't do it that way. You know, we've got the patented cancel machine.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if the Spanish Inquisition was.
Also, here I'll read the next sentence that you might have been. And the Pope also said, in addition to not liking cancel culture and some of the cancellations that have happened at the Pope, he's also going to be getting into Bitcoin and releasing a Pope NFT.
Yeah, their coffers are getting a little low.
Do you know how the Vatican always like takes the priests and sort of pushes them around to different places?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's their like getting into Bitcoin.
That's their getting into Bitcoin.
You know what? I was actually thinking that because we talked about this last episode, but when people say that, you know how they say things are a gateway? They go, listen to Jordan Peterson. He's a gateway,
That's
right?
fucking, H3?
Right. So they say everyone's like a gateway. What it's actually a gateway to is if you start listening to those guys, it really is a gateway to being into crypto.
Oh, for sure. You eventually get, yeah.
But if you actually think about it, like, it's not necessarily true that fucking in any sort of way, shape, or form, if you start listening to Joe Rogan, like, next thing you know, you're, going deeper, where most people don't start listening to Joe Rogan and end off listening to Stefan Molyneux. Like, that does not really like how it happens.
No.
If anything, most people start listening to Joe Rogan and then they start listening to fitness podcasts and getting into crypto.
Yeah.
And he's not even a crypto guy.
That's what I was
You
gonna say.
graduate from him.
He's oddly not really has ever taken a stance on crypto.
I think one of the reasons is maybe he just has so much cash.
Yeah, he's just like, I don't care. But like, he hasn't even had like, I think maybe he had Pomp on once.
He's had some guys on talking about crypto.
He's had Peter Schiff on, who shits on crypto and is like, big loves gold.
Oh, Schiff hates crypto, man. It's his whole thing.
Yeah, but I don't know if he's ever had Pomp on.
Well, he says, in comments made to address the diplomats, the Pope cautioned against a form of ideological colonization, one that leaves no room for freedom of expression and is now taking the form of cancel culture, invading many circles and public institutions. So the Pope's really, he's getting out there, right?
Oh, yeah.
And he also said, facts don't care about your feelings.
He's selling liberal tear mugs.
He's selling liberal tear mugs, but he's also selling like, anti-vaxxer suck mugs.
It's really random.
But the thing is, you have to say about the Christian or whatever Catholic cancel culture, they at least did have a path to redemption. Other people made that point, but that's the biggest problem. Whereas they don't have a really good path for redemption. Obviously, crypto is offering people a path for redemption once you get followed from your cool Hollywood job.
Yeah, and you can't get canceled.
But don't you think the new school, college kid cancel you mentality they sort of need their own confession booth where you can go in? Because right now, their confession booth is you're supposed to go on Twitter and be like, just so you know, I'm admitting that I had racist thoughts. Like, they want you to sort of admit it there.
And then the moment they go, we appreciate you saying that, but gonna have to cancel
rules the
you.
rules. Yeah,
rules
so there's
the
no
rules.
benefit of the
It's like it's like your sentence is a little shorter, maybe. Like
right.
If you would admit, then they'll say, hey,
well, every now and then it'll be an actor like Liam Neeson or whatever. He comes on and he goes, I just want to admit that I am kind of racist and I have been racist in the past. And the headlines were all like, actor finally admits he's racist, like, get him, right?
Yeah.
Or when Mark Wahlberg said that, you know what, I've said fag up until very, very recently, and I'm going to
Mark
stop.
Wahlberg literally did a hate crime. He literally did, by definition, he like beat up a guy and blinded him for like being Asian.
Yeah. Well, that one, what he says was 25 years ago. Not that matters to these people, but
Yeah, none of that matters.
But that's the thing. You need to go to a booth, and you know what I mean. Sean King's there, and he sort of gives you your pardon. Yeah. You know what I mean.
Kiss the ring like the Pope.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like the owner of like Dear White, the creator of Dear White People is sort of sitting in a booth, and they give you you kiss the girl's top surgery certificate.
Certificate. I think you just kiss the scars, the mastectomy scars.
Yeah, and then they say, you are forgiven, my child. And then as soon as you walk out, they go, we go where they're wearing the Pope. They're a fucking Pope. Their confession person would be wearing a wire, though. That's the thing, right?
He's a rat.
Under the guise of defending diversity, so the Pope's going in on diversity. They can't have too much diversity there, right? Like, they must have a lot of white popes. Only male.
No, they have black because they have all the Africa. Because that's the whole thing, right? Is
They don't have the lady ones,
They went
though.
to Africa and their thing was like to kind of colonize it or whatever. They're like, hey, if you accept Jesus, like we'll give you enough food to not die. Like,
Okay.
they kinda, like did that. So then there are like a lot of Catholics and I think Brazil is like they're spread out.
Okay, so fine, but yeah, right. I've seen that too, but they don't have like a, for example, like a non-binary like bishop.
Oh no! I mean, they don't even have women.
Exactly.
Like
right?
not at the Vatican. I don't think there's like. I don't think so. No.
That was like one last cop show thing. It won't be one last one, but in the cop show, they're getting into this stuff lately. And basically, the girl who was a nun, they were they went against the thing that the Catholic Church was against being gay or whatever. And then the nun comes up and she goes, "Thank you for doing that. The day that I joined the nunnery or whatever you call it, the day that I joined the nunnery was the day I had to kiss my girlfriend goodbye." And it was like I was like, if you are a lesbian, like, why'd you become a nun?
Yeah, why'd you
then?
become a nun?
They didn't really explain that. She just said she wanted to be a nun more than she wanted her lesbian. But also, the thing that doesn't really matter, because she's like, well, I had to kiss being a lesbian goodbye. It's like, yeah, but you would have had to kiss being straight goodbye too. It's like you can't have sex with anyone.
Yeah, you took a celibacy thing.
Yeah, so whether it's a girl or guy, almost like if you're I'm a nun and I'm a lesbian, it kind of doesn't matter. You're essentially supposed to be asexual, so who cares, right?
Yeah. Have they changed that? No, they haven't. The Catholics. I think people were saying they need to let them get married.
Let them get the
but
bones
I think
in?
they're still saying no.
They would, oh my God, dude, you imagine the day that the Pope finally came down and said you can get married, how they would go
I mean, the funny
off.
thing is that like the Vatican is in Vatican City is in Rome, right?
Yeah.
So it's like it's within Rome is the Vatican
I think
City.
their Tinder ranges would be larger than
Yeah,
that.
but
though.
I'm
They'd
saying
be
no.
going
It's like all of
crazy.
a sudden, just like in Tinder in Rome, just be like all these, just like the Pope is on there and fucking just
Guy's got a hat in the profile.
yeah. It's just like they're all like all these people who are just like all of a sudden weren't able to.
Well, it would be kind of like guys gets out of jail, like all his old boys have like a prosty hooked up. Like I think it'd be a free for all if the Pope said that. I just want to announce that getting pussy is actually, now I've looked further into it and I spoke to God last night and he gave me the sign.
He said it was just a miscommunication this whole time.
That you'd have to get one of those things where the Jesus like starts bleeding. It'll have like one of those signs where they say that blood was coming out of the statues or whatever.
Yeah.
They have a little bit of like semen that comes out of Jesus' dick in the statues.
It's like a drop.
And the Pope goes,
Hey, Tayshay, he's like,
that was
legit.
That was a sign from
Pope?
God. Yeah,
What do you know what cum tastes like?
it tastes like the good stuff. So as I want to say that everyone involved in the church is a free for all. I'll tell you what, that'd be good for kids. You wouldn't see any more of that. By the way, we always make, it's impossible not to make the joke, but apparently I heard that in the Catholic religion, the numbers aren't actually higher of molestation or anything like that than any other religion or any other thing.
Oh, I believe that.
Yeah, it's just, that one's just, I think they just did more like cover-ups in the public
Well, they
eye.
just did yeah, exactly. They had the more blatant, like super blatant cover-ups, I think, and
Well, they said,
they knew about it. I think
yeah, under the guide of defending diversity, a move of society to cancel people or situations ends up canceling all sense of identity with the risk of silencing positions that defend a respectful and balanced understanding of various sensibilities. So this is the Pope starts, and the next thing he says, and he goes, I also want to give a shout out to our new bishop, Bishop Pepe. he goes, we're going to be doing sermons.
praise Keck, praise the Lord, praise Keck.
Yeah, praise the Lord, praise Keck. And then Based Bishop is our new.
Changing Vatican City to Kekistan.
Remember, you remember that guy that used to be the Based Battle Axe guy or whatever? Remember he had a mallet and he used to hit people?
Oh, Base Stickman.
Stickman.
Yeah, well, that's where the base came from.
Base Stick. I don't know if it came from there, but Base Stickman is like
I
a
had
new.
never seen that term before until Base Stickman. I think I was talking at Dick's thing.
No, remember Based God, Little B?
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of different versions. He was an original Based guy out there,
Maybe he was the base, yeah.
which is weird. I don't know. Based God.
I think that guy's in jail because I
Well,
was asking about him.
I don't know if that's true, but he's done a lot of weird things. Because remember, he was
No, Base Stickman, not Little
Oh,
B.
that guy might be. Little B's done. He had the whole thing where he was,
Cursing.
putting hexes
Yeah, he
on
was
teams
cursing
and all that
everybody.
stuff,
But
right? They were sort of working.
Yeah, they were working. And I was like, people.
But you know what he does now?
No.
So I think he does
Crypto, I would guess.
crypto gaming stuff, probably, right? But the main thing that he does is he has like all these big social media accounts that his whole thing is he wants girls to send him photos with his name written in marker on their feet. And then he posts photos of girls' feet. Like he's super into feet. I'm not kidding. Go look up Lil B's like Instagram profile.
Just feet.
Yeah. So his whole thing is a bunch of girls with their feet, and then they write like Based God or whatever on their feet. And then he goes, sick, right? He just posts them.
And he just posts them.
His whole Instagram account's a foot fetish site.
He's a rapper though, right?
I don't know if he raps anymore. I think he just does the
Gave
foot
it up.
thing.
He just does the foot
He
thing.
kind of just does the foot thing.
Does he rate them? Like, is it like a dick rating thing? How girls on OnlyFans can rate dicks?
Yeah, it kind of is a little bit like that.
Like, he goes, "This is a fucking."
But he sort of rates
9
them
out
all
of
a 10, though.
Oh,
I don't think he would ever see a foot that he didn't like. Like, he seems really into it.
I mean,
Very interesting.
I mean, it's sweet if you're famous to just be crowdsourcing all these feet.
Yeah. So, anyways, the last thing the Pope said was that, free Milo Yiannopoulos, and then he dropped the mic. And then he goes, it's a detriment to harmony and unity. So he basically, the last thing he said that then he got into his misinformation stuff. He said, a large portion of the address found the Pope criticizing baseless information and the poorly documented facts about COVID-19. He strongly urged people to get vaccinated. So
Nice.
that's the one thing. He did go out and
With
he's
the misinformation stuff, was he shitting on CNN a lot?
no, he thinks he agrees with CNN.
Oh, yeah.
He's trying to play it down the middle. He goes, listen, Fox, you're right about the cancel culture, and CNN, you're right about the misinformation. So everyone sort of wins.
They're just desperate for numbers.
Well,
If you graft out the
They're trying everything.
If you graft out like the fucking
He tried pandering to
chart
this
of
stuff
worldwide Catholics, it's like probably looks like the BlackBerry chart. Like, it's
I
not
bet
like
you in
good.
countries that aren't white, their numbers are still pretty strong.
Well, I actually looked it up in Brazil because I had gone there, and they were like
Where you get your waxing done.
where I get my waxing done for my anus. But they were notoriously like a crazy high population of Catholics, like identified like 80-something% of all people. And it's a huge country. It's like the size of America. But that is even declining there. Like, it's everywhere. It's not going up anywhere. Nowhere's
Well, he's
going
tried
up.
all the things. He sort of tried pandering to the, the progressive stuff.
Well, they
Now
even
he's sort
said
of
you're
going
like,
the
you
other
could be
way.
gay. Like, I remember, like, I think 5 years ago, they're like, I guess you can be gay now.
Yeah, he was kind of like, you can be gay and, we accept everyone. Like, if you happen to be a person that puts leather on and goes to leather daddy parties and, cheats on your wife. Remember, he was saying cheating on your wife's actually not that fucking bad.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world.
So then he's kind of going he's flip-flopping around, but now he's on this. You think he just watched one episode of Rogan?
Yeah, he's like, he really did get.
You think the Pope
fucking
listens to the Boyscast?
He got radicalized on YouTube.
Well, another one, speaking of cancel culture, is it's not actually speaking of cancel culture, but you could probably segue into anything with that.
Oh, yeah.
But Boris Johnson.
Oh, Joe.
Actually, you know what? Back up a little bit. So with the misinformation stuff, I just want to say it is interesting because there is so much it's very hard to get the right information on anything or whatever. Like, I was even seeing, it seemed pretty much like the fact was that it does seem like the people in the hospital are at a higher rate unvaccinated.
Yeah, 100%.
That one seems like, if you look at the facts or whatever, right? So if you're like 60, it probably does, make sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then, and this is the whole push for like the hospitals are overflowing, right? But then I saw all this information that was kind of like from 2016, 17, 2015, even dare I say 2014.
But you're talking about in Canada.
That's saying that they've had this same argument that every flu season the hospitals are overflowing.
Yes, because the problem is that this is a Canadian argument. This is not an American argument. In Canada, they're fucking like in a normal time, like they have some of like the
No, but I've even seen the rates be the same. Like this idea that they're saying
but the per capita hospital beds per person in like Ontario is so low relative to like many places all over the world.
Yeah, I know.
So their whole thing is they were running so close to capacity the whole time.
But I know, but apparently what I'm saying to you is this thing where they're like, this has always been happening. We
Yeah.
just haven't been hearing about it.
Yeah,
Because they don't
100%. Like
that's all I'm saying.
like the canceling elective surgeries.
Yeah, that
at
was
the
always happening.
Yeah, they've been doing that.
So this new thing where they go, this person lost their life because of this, like that was already all happening.
Yeah, that's been happening just because
And they didn't
of
shut down the world.
I
for
mean,
it or
it's
whatever.
essentially what you get for like a free one party kind of like socialized healthcare
Right.
is like,
But you said the people, the fake doctors that kind of said, hey, a bunch of doctors that came out and said, we all think Rogan's
because
bad
this
or
was a
whatever.
huge thing with the Rogan thing this week was that like it was a real like big news cycle. But so I'm sure everybody knows, but so these 270 people, some of them doctors, some of them like podcasters, some of them was
That's why I saw a lot
some
of
them
the
were like a
things, yeah.
high school student or whatever, or a high school teacher or
Yeah.
something, right? So they wrote this letter saying like, hey, to Spotify, you need to like he's spreading misinformation. You need to put a tag on it. Okay. And then The Guardian wrote an article saying 270 doctors speak out against Joe Rogan, right? They said, The Guardian specifically like was wrong, and they said 270 doctors. And then everybody on the right was like, got the list, and they're like, this isn't 270 doctors. There's like 100 doctors. And then now they basically like, but it was like interesting to watch this unfold, because it was because like The Guardian essentially did fake news, and then the people used that on the other side. Instead of looking into it, they use that as like, that's now the real news, what The Guardian says. And then they're like, look, you guys are wrong. This is all bullshit. Because they're like, and then so they essentially use what The Guardian said as to dunk on them, being like, oh, this is bullshit. It wasn't 270 doctors. Like, look, it's podcasters. And you're like, but they never said that. It's Guardian fucking basically.
Well,
did
I think
this
a lot
to
of them
get-
had like doctorate degrees, but it wasn't,
Yeah, but no, but even not all of them were doctors. But like it specifically says, if you read the letter, like nowhere.
So you're
it says,
saying, so it's fair to say that the media,
yeah, but it's like, oh yeah, again, it's just like
paper of broken record.
They just whipped this whole thing up. And it's interesting because like everybody's dunking on them, but you're like, you're not even really dunking on these people because they never said we're 270 doctors.
They're dunking on, yeah, but I guess that did become the thing that everyone.
But that became the narrative.
So they're not necessarily dunking on the doctors as much as they're dunking on the people who told you this happened.
Yeah,
the other people that were trying to
everybody-
dunk with this, being like,
exactly.
look, even these fucking 300 people agree with me.
Yeah, 270 doctors, and it's like you guys are just like podcasters, and then people are like, yeah, they're not 270 doctors, there's only 100 doctors, and then
Weird.
but they were never.
Well,
yeah.
Boris Johnson basically came out today and he was like, okay, so COVID's kind of done.
Yeah.
This just happened.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he was basically like, no more masks, no more whatever. And he goes, people can make their own decisions, blah, blah, right? But the conspiracy theory is, because what happened was Boris Johnson said BYOB party he attended during lockdown was a work event. And he basically...
Yeah, they were just during all of
he did
lockdown.
the
They were
governor
raging
thing.
it.
No, he did the governor thing, right? Where he threw this big party.
No, they weren't. They weren't like there were parties.
Nah,
but like
he threw he threw a big party. Do you not know this story?
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
he had
okay.
multiple. They were just basically having like
this one he was throwing a rage
Yeah,
at.
yeah. But it was like at the fucking 10 Downing, I think, where he lives, and then they were just
It's
like
a BYOB
but he
said,
was
which
try-
is
but he-
cheap bastard.
I know.
Imagine you go to the fucking prime minister's house and you got to bring your own fucking pack.
I mean, fucking if you went to Trudeau's house, it would just be all coconut water and fucking
Something
seltzer.
super. Yeah, no, it would be fucking Mike's Hards.
Oh, he'd be icing you nonstop. Turn around, he's on one knee, fucking holding Smirnoff Ice. You go, fucking Trudeau.
What's icing you again?
Is when you turn around and someone's holding or like whatever, when you do like the Smirnoff Ice, and then you got to go on one knee and you drink the Smirnoff Ice because you like.
Because you what? You saw it?
I can't remember exactly. So people will know.
I don't really remember the icing either.
No, that's like
I remember it existing, but I don't remember what it was.
Yeah. It's like I can't remember if it's like if someone you show them or if you throw it at them and they catch it and then they have to drink it. I don't know, something. But you make people go on one knee and drink a Smirnoff Ice.
Well, he had to apologize to the Queen, which is pretty funny. But isn't that funny? Like when the Prime Minister gets in trouble, they don't apologize to the public. They have to go to the Queen and
Straight to the
say,
Queen.
sorry, babe. Like,
Queen's been fucking.
Well, no one could live up to these rules.
A lot of shit with fucking.
What did she do?
Well, what's her face? The prince who is with Epstein.
Oh, Epstein Prince. Yeah,
The
yeah,
Epstein
yeah.
Prince, her son or whatever. He's I can't remember his name, but
There's been good memes going around about that.
yeah. Well, she's like stripped him of all his stuff.
Really?
Yeah. Because I mean, I guess.
Well, that's what Boris was sort of afraid to get stripped of his stuff, so
But
he had to go to apologize.
I don't think the Queen can kick the Prime Minister out of office in the UK.
No, but
He
you
has to
just
step
need
down.
their blessing. It's not going to be. He's like, listen, she can't kick you out of office, but she will be grumpy, and
Yeah.
you don't want to see her after
Is the pre-
before she's at her tea.
is the
if
prevailing-
She's not happy about it.
Yeah, is the prevailing thing that fucking he just got rid of all these lockdowns and stuff just to save himself from.
Well, it's
That makes
basically our
sense.
governor's video,
Yeah.
where they were, going out there being like, cancel your thing or whatever. Actually, our buddy Andrew Oporto did a pretty funny video. He just posted it on Instagram where he called the basically the place in Canada where you call them and you go, hey, I need how many people can I have? And they go, oh, you can only have 5 people at a gathering or whatever. And then he went through, if you check him out on Instagram, but he goes, all right, so my mom's there, my grandma and husband. He's like, okay, so maybe my grandpa won't come. Like, what about this? Like, what if she's just in the other thing and she makes the food, but then she leaves when we eat it? Like, if we just, he was kind of going through, what if I kick my grandmother out or whatever he said, right? But like, call calling the places that's making the rules and then
the
walking
COVID
them,
snitch hotline.
and then
like to see what you're allowed
yeah,
to do.
walking them through who you're gonna not let come to the party.
That's funny.
But anyways, he basically it's so funny that they have to go to, imagine like Biden did something wrong and he had to go apologize to some old lady.
Well, imagine like how many blackfaces does Trudeau need to do to fucking?
You
like,
have to go apologize to the Queen.
Where he just says, "Oh fuck, like I did it this time. All right, everybody, we're gonna get rid of all the stuff. All the lockdowns are over."
One more blackface might do it over there. He goes, "I deeply and bitterly regret that this happened," Johnson said. "I can only renew my apologies both to Her Majesty and to the county for misjudgments that were made for which I take responsibility." And then he also said, "Let the record state, I did in fact win the beer pong tourney."
Goes, I'm undefeated at Flip Cup. I just want that
Funnel
to be
12
on the record.
Cracked fucking
He seems like a fucking lampshade on the head kind of guy.
dude. Yeah,
Bojo.
the wacky hair, dude. Were you ever a funnel guy?
No, the only time I ever did a funnel was
buddy.
in Guelph. And we had like this 2-story house, and then there's like
The big one.
So they go like
Guelph was a big funnel town too.
I know, and then so someone was on the thing,
I've done
and then
the
I was
two-story.
at the bottom, and then they go,
Oh,
and it was
yeah.
the first funnel I ever did. I was like 19. They go, let her rip, and I like do it, and I go,
Ah, you're 0 for 1 funneling, you bitch.
0 for 1, last funnel I ever did.
Boo.
I can't do it. I don't have the fucking. I
dude,
don't have no gag reflex like fucking this guy over here.
I'd like to-
Notoriously.
Well, Danny's fucking mouth was already full with cum, and the mix of it made it foam too much. I would love an apology next week for the fact that you can't funnel a beer.
No, I've shotgun a beer.
Yeah.
I shotgun beers. It's the funneling. I don't know. There's something about the funneling. I just couldn't do it.
I was a big funnel guy, man.
No, not a funnel guy.
I was thinking about it in college. I think 90% of my life was doing stuff ironically. Dude, me and the boys used to go to the store, the hardware store, and buy matching funnels, and then just show up to like a keg party where you didn't know the people with like, and just, how funny is that? Just like 5 boys at the door walking in with funnels, paying the fee for the keg party. No, we were big into that.
Yeah. I wasn't opposed to it. I just.
Oh, you apparently were.
Just had too much of a gag reflex.
That's bad, dude, that you
couldn't get
can't
it done.
funnel a beer.
I wasn't even a really big drinker in college, to be honest.
Really? More of
I
a
wasn't-
guzzler.
I was a weed guy.
Oh, right, you were.
Yeah, I was like a weed guy. I didn't drink that much.
Crappy guy.
Yeah.
Should be in college.
I mean, it's crappier to be that guy now, but college was, yeah.
There you go. That's crazy that you can't funnel beer. I think we're gonna get
I can shotgun a beer.
I'll tell you what we're gonna do. Get a funnel on one of the episodes of the Boyscast, and we're gonna teach you how to funnel.
Okay. What's the strategy? Like, what do you mean teach me?
Well, first you put the funnel together. 2, stop being a fucking pussy.
Stop being a bitch.
The main thing is stop being a bitch. The third one's man up. Dude, I was funneling everything the other night. There was a funnel kicking around. I funneled like 3 beers in a claw. Do you remember that?
When?
There was a funnel kicking around. I can't remember one. Maybe it was Dylan's party. But anyways, beer pong. I was never really that into that stuff.
I saw my friend funnel.
I would do it all ironically.
A funnel like a pint of or whatever, like a Mickey of. I think it was like whiskey or something once, and I was like, that's probably not a good idea.
Yeah.
It's just like that gone. I was like,
Funneling whiskey stinks,
it
dude.
was insane.
I had one buddy that would do that. He would be able to drink chug half the thing of whiskey.
Yeah.
Same guy that used to break skateboards on his head. It was a crazy
yeah.
person. Probably in jail now.
Probably.
That guy ends up in jail. I'll tell you where he is. He's either in jail or he has a fuckload of DUIs.
Oh.
That's the type of guy that you meet him at the end of the year and you how's it going? And he goes, you see him you see him beside his car getting in and he like wants to wait for you to leave because he doesn't want to have to see you blow into his wheel.
It was funny. I was at this liquor store in Williamsburg the other day, and like this guy was there, and they were having this whole conversation about DUIs and the rules around DUIs. And this guy's like, "Yeah, it's like you can bike and you won't get a DUI on a bike." Like he knew like the rules of different states and stuff.
Stop.
Like you could tell this guy was
like the pedophile that knows the different age of
kind of,
consent.
he was like a Ronnie Dobbs kind of scenario where he's like, he literally is like, yeah, like in California, like you can as long as you haven't got a DUI in a car, he's like, you're fine to drive a bike drunk. But he's like, once you get that DUI in the car, then you're on the bike drunk, you get another DUI. And he's like, and then they're like there's like the cashier was like, I don't know. And he's like, I'm telling you, like he was.
He just walks around telling everyone the Dewey information. Oh yeah, that's no, you're good there. He's like, oh, I can't drive. No, this is a 0.8 state. This is he knows the legal limit.
Yeah,
that's so funny. Oh shit, the Deweys.
He showed up on a bike. I think he was kind of liquored up. I don't know. It seemed like they knew him. He was like just a.
That is pretty
regular.
funny, showing up on a bike, like, and then or showing up basically drunk to buy beer and telling everyone he knows his rights and what his legal limits
Like
are.
I think they're like, watch out! There, you got your bike, and he goes, no, excuse me.
Well, anyways, the propaganda, so to speak,
Yeah.
for people that try to, that COVID's a big deal and you really don't want to get it, has turned up to a new high, because apparently this has been going around, and I don't know if you've experienced this or you were just like this before, but a man claims that COVID-19 made his penis shrink.
Yeah, I have an innie now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That the girl
it went from an innie to a bigger innie.
a girl pulls off Danny's pants and she goes, "Are you still contagious?"
She goes, "This is the worst case of COVID I've ever seen in my life."
She goes, "Oh fuck, I'm gonna need a test." But apparently, which is, the Nicki Minaj was saying all this stuff about, her cousin or whatever.
I know. That was the thing. Everybody dunked on her pretty
Yeah.
hard, and then
But this is apparently true.
Yeah.
And there's a few other things, but the first one is your dicks are shrinking. And then it goes, an anonymous man in his 30s, you definitely want to be anonymous on that, who had to be hospitalized after contacting COVID-19 last July, now claims the disease left him with a shrunken penis and erectile dysfunction. And there's a couple different parts to it. The first part is, if you have erectile dysfunction and it's soft, I don't really think that's fair if you go, my penis is less soft, because you go, the variance is very high.
Yeah.
I feel like people just you'll go through a couple weeks where your fucking soft one's not kicking that hard,
Yeah.
It's very unpredictable. Very unpredictable soft.
yes,
But
it matters hard. Hard is what matters.
right, but then he says he couldn't get hard. He goes, before I got sick, I was above average. Not huge, but definitely bigger than normal. So this thing reeks of a guy that's telling a girl that he had a big
for
one.
sure. I mean, like the reporter called him and he goes, "Oh, it's like it's a chick calling him." He goes, "Yeah, I mean, it was pretty large to begin with. It's not like it was small or anything."
Well, that's the part where the doctor apparently agreed with him, because he goes, now I've lost 1.5 inches and becoming decidedly less than average. And the doctor said, oh, this actually is something that happens. But the whole thing rips of a guy talking to a girl and being like, fucking
This is
COVID.
like, you know, I swear it was.
Yeah.
It used to be bigger.
Well, you met up with a girl. You basically catfished a girl. You met up with a girl and you're just like, I'm fucking. You had the fake Coke can in your dick pic that you were sending. The smaller. You're taking your dick pics at the miniature village. So it's all these, disproportional things. You got the fucking ruler custom made with every inch is like 1/2 inch. And then she shows up and she goes, what? And he goes, fucking, oh my God.
COVID's serious.
I just had COVID.
Yeah.
Because it reeks of
Mask up.
that. And then he goes, oh, how was it before? He goes, actually, it's fucking probably, if anything, like way bigger than average.
So you know who Mandingo is? Probably somewhere in the.
That was basically me.
Yeah.
So I don't even know how this would make sense, because before I got sick, I was above average. Yeah. And he goes, became less than average. But it also is funny. The guy, you know how they make videos, when to like, I was a drug user and, I used to be, I was sucking dick for crack or whatever. And, I'm intervention and stuff like that. Pretty funny. This guy making his video where he goes, people, I was there. I was 9 inches easily. My friends used to call me Dan the Hammer. Girls are walking funny.
I mean, it's crazy because if this guy is true, why hasn't the federal government been like, yo, you're our new spokesperson for getting vaccinated?
Because they don't, that's for sure, but I think they don't want to admit that theirs have shrunk too. So they're like, I didn't know.
The craziest thing about this was at the end of it, where it said, for men who have already had COVID-19 and are experiencing erectile dysfunction, Dr. Winter suggests using medicine like Cialis or Viagra, or even using extension devices that can add back length.
That's what they recommend, is it?
Yeah, just an extension
Oh,
device.
shut the fuck up.
I'm like, what?
Yeah, you go to the doctor and he recommends that you put a extension device. Dude, I would rather kill myself than start having sex with a girl and then pop an extension device on.
Yeah, I don't think
Get the hell out of here.
I don't.
That's
It says these are
insane.
easy things that you can do at home to either prevent shortening or actually get back length that you've lost. But it's like not like a thing that goes on it. Like it sounds like it's like something like the people who walk around with like the weights attached to their cock.
Yeah.
Sounds like that's what it is.
Does that work? That used to be a big thing that people said, like in different cultures, and apparently bikers. I read this biker biography one time, and they said they all used to walk. That used to be a thing. You turn 16 or whatever, and you all put the weights on your dick to make their dicks bigger. They would walk around with like a lock, like a padlock chained to their dick or whatever, weighing it down.
I don't know.
Apparently, this is what they say. Kind of like how people space out their ears.
Yeah. Well, if you're listening and report in the comments on YouTube if you have successfully lengthened your penis.
Yeah, well, definitely don't want to put the extension device, but and then I used to have sex with girls so good they were all walking funny. I used to
they just walk regular.
now they don't walk. Now they walk funny they used to walk funny. Now they walk sneaky after they sneak out of my house because I couldn't put the performances in. They walk sneaky to their Uber to avoid having sex. I always said it was what's not impressive saying it, having sex with a girl till she's walking funny. What's impressive is if a girl was walking funny, then you fuck her so good now she walks normal.
You got the cure. You're like those
the magic stick.
Yeah, you're like those pastors or whatever who you're like you're saved.
Yeah,
you're like, oh, I can walk again.
Exactly. Well, the Italian study said 28% of men who contracted COVID-19 experienced issues with erectile dysfunction. That seems high. 30% of people. I'll tell you what I
think what it is. They've been sitting at home just jerking off nonstop for the last 2 years because nobody goes to a job anymore.
Maybe that's
they've just been rubbing them out so hard.
They've jerked themselves flaccid.
Yeah, it's like you only have so many like.
I was tired more. My back seemed to hurt, but I was just my back got blown out from the dicks. No, but I did not. I don't think I know anyone that said they couldn't get it up really after COVID.
No, not related.
28%. They're saying 1 in 3. Shut up.
Yeah.
Shut up, Italians. Italian study.
Yeah, there's no way 1 in 3.
That's the stupidest study ever.
0 chance.
Oh, that's what they're saying. Yeah, they're encouraging people to do all this stuff, and they want to say that men who have had COVID-19 are 6 times more likely to experience erectile dysfunction. So this feels like propaganda a little bit. If they're saying 30% out there,
though, is the question. I guess from the vaccine. It's weird because on Fox though, but it's the vaccine lobby.
That would be sort of okay though if all the dudes that got COVID together, we all couldn't get it up, and then it's like in Seinfeld where every dude just starts getting way smarter and stuff like that. All of a sudden, every dude's like a Goodwill Hunting situation, and the girls are just walking around with their pockets empty. Like every girl's just walking around like poor. There's an epidemic of homeless women.
Yeah, guys are just like fucking figuring out all these.
We have a statistic in Italy that 30% of men can't get it up, and 28% of women are reporting having less handbags bought for them.
Correlation or causation?
But it's also a new excuse in the toolkit for the boys, right? If you go with the girl and she's like, "What's wrong? You can't get it up." You go, "COVID." So that is not bad. And you have the study, you have the study ready for you.
Oh yeah. I swear, look, this is real.
Here's my documentation. This is basically a doctor's note for not getting it up.
Kinda.
So get out. Anyways, since we're not having sex, I'll probably Venmo you for the dinner. Woo! Well, the last one of that is this other guy said his agonizing penis pain is found to be a rare side effect of COVID.
Yeah.
So they're really getting out there being like, your dick's at risk.
Yeah. I mean, well, this one I did. So the Italy one.
Did you have the penis pain?
No, I didn't have the penis pain, but the Italy one seemed very like anecdotal. But this was like, I actually kind of got in the weeds on this, and there was like a real like, medical journal describing what happened with this guy with the penis pain. He just, they're saying it's like within 3 days, I think, of having COVID or something, he had got it, and then every time he got an erection, it was just really painful.
He's an Iranian dude.
And they had several instances of this happening where people had these like, I can't remember what the term is, but like basically where you have like a 4-hour erection and it's like painful.
Do you think he's just ripping through prosties?
I don't know, like to help it out. No, because I think it hurts. Like I think you the worst thing is a prosty.
This guy couldn't get it up. They said there was one guy that got a 4-hour erection, which isn't that crazy. It's like, shut up, dude. If you come up and you're like, I was erect for 4 hours, it's like, yeah, okay, whatever. I get to 2 days before I even start to think that that's a problem.
4 hours, I don't know.
Well, 4 hours, he goes, and it turns out the fucking nurse was just hot. He goes, the nurse was sitting there beside him in the bed the whole time. He couldn't get rid of it. But
Priapism, that's what the word is.
if anything, first of all, I'd just like to state for the record, this is a non-normative erection, and I don't appreciate them the way that they're besmirching him.
I know.
Did you know the thing that apparently some Muslims, when they get prosties, you're not supposed to, for God reasons, have sex with someone that you're not married to. So they would have like a fake or like also an underground pastor that would temporarily marry them and then divorce them. So when they had sex with the prosty, they were technically banging their wife for that moment.
It's a nice little.
I mean,
I know that.
Have you ever heard that?
I've never heard that.
I
I know Islam has a rule against lending money at interest.
Okay.
Unlike the Jews, but they have like a specific rule where you can't. But obviously, they're not like want to get mortgages and stuff, so they have some weird like workaround where it's like I don't know the exact details, but like they have it's just like loopholes. They come up with all
Loopholes
these
are
weird,
so funny.
Come up with all these crazy loopholes.
Well, that's the one. Apparently, they get married to the girl.
I mean,
but-
I know there's that thing in Afghanistan where they're like, you can't have sex with like a woman that's not your wife, and so then they like make like little boys dress up as women and then like have sex with them.
And then they're like, it's not cheating because
it's not
a
cheating
boy.
or gay. Because he's wearing a wig.
Yeah, it's not cheating or gay. Interesting.
Yeah.
So they're not actually into kids.
I mean,
They're just like,
necessity
they look
is
more
the mother
like
of all
girls.
invention, you know? Or invention is, yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, I would say that the worst part about that, if you got married to you had the whatever prosty pastor, the pimp also, he takes off his pimp outfit and puts on his, marriage outfit or whatever and marries you. And then he's like, I now pronounce you man and wife. And then while you're having sex, you come out and the priest, that he's dead.
Yeah, he's dead. And you go, how am I going to explain this to my wife?
Yeah, that'd be a calamity of errors. That's something that would happen to Ben Stiller.
Oh, my wife is not going to be happy about this one.
Ben Stiller, 90% of his movies are him like clogging a toilet. I think he had 3 movies in a row that were like rom-coms where something like the toilet clogging happened.
I
and
mean,
Ben Stiller's always got a very like a shit situation about to go happen.
I mean, the moment that those balls got stuck in the zipper, that was hard to top.
Balls in the zipper is
Balls in the zipper
peak
was
Stiller.
Peak Stiller.
Probably was from COVID, if you ask me. The doctors had to drain the blood from the penis using a needle because ice packs didn't work and bring the stiffness down. So, sort of seems like
There's no like reverse Viagra?
well, that is so funny though that they couldn't use the ice packs and then they basically put needles in and they drain your blood like you're a fucking
Yeah.
heroin addict that ran out of veins. Pretty disgusting.
Ouch.
Yeah. So
That sucks.
Not really
I mean,
much.
there are a lot of weird COVID things. I don't know if this is a COVID thing. I've actually noticed this in like the last, I don't know if this is just getting older or whatever, but I wonder if this is COVID related. And this article actually made me start looking into it because I think this said something about like my right like shin has been like slightly like almost feels like not pins and needly, but it's almost like not full.
you have diabetes.
No, it's not diabetes.
Okay.
But it's almost like it just doesn't have like the full sensation on my like right shin. And I don't know, like it feels like it's in the past few months.
Really?
Yeah. And like it's weird. Like it almost just like it's not like numb, but it's just like doesn't feel the same as me touching the other one.
That's fucking weird.
It's weird. It's just like I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a circulation thing. Maybe someone's listening.
Yeah, diabetes, I would say.
Yeah,
maybe
maybe.
the inflation's
Maybe
been
I got
maybe-
the sugars.
Yeah, the sugars. I
got the sugars.
The inflation that's happening in the world. Your body's having a visceral reaction to
Yeah.
it.
just on the right shin.
I'm going to suggest that you funnel a beer and then man up and then see the. I bet you get that. You funnel that beer, the fucking blood starts circulating again.
Yeah. All right.
Gonna take a quick break here to tell you about Athletic Greens. I personally been taking the greens every morning, and I forget about it less because it's I go to get water a lot of times, and I
Yeah.
have the box sitting there.
Oh yeah.
Whereas
Nice
my-
box too. That little green thing. I love it.
Exactly where my
Little
loopy
pineapple.
brains-
You know what? I couldn't figure out what the taste was, and I'm like, I think I've narrowed it down to pineapple.
Really?
Yeah, that's what that kind of fruity like pleasantness is.
I mean, it takes one to know one. So
Yeah, plus you drink. You pineapple, and then
We can't confirm or deny if there's pineapple in there. That is a conjecture. But if you want better gut health, more energy, optimized immune system, if you hate taking pills and vitamins and you want a supplement that actually tastes great, and if you want to see what the hype is about, the greens that everyone's talking about, from Ricky Gervais to Tim Ferriss, but most importantly, us, and you want to use our promo code. So if with this stuff, it's one delicious scoop of Athletic Greens, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging. So all of the things supports better sleep and quality recovery, which is the most important thing for me because I have trouble sleeping and then too much on my mind, and then the day I'm all tired, and since COVID too, I've been sort of fucking low on energy still.
Yeah, you got long COVID?
Yeah, I feel like I do a little bit.
Ryan long COVID?
Yeah, I have Ryan long COVID. The founder of Athletic Greens was experiencing how difficult it was to create an optimal nutrition routine on his own. So this is recommended by professional athletes. And right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with your convenient daily nutrition, especially heading into the flu and cold season. It's just one scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for $1 million pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/boyscast. Again, athleticgreens.com/boyscast to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Also, I'm going to tell you about Raycon, my favorite headphones. They don't fall out. I wear them everywhere. A lot of people didn't make New Year's resolutions, and you know what? That doesn't mean you shouldn't still find a way to shake things up. Whether it's by switching up your workout routine or going somewhere new, whether it's challenging yourself in the new year, there's no better way to do it with a pair of Raycon wireless earbuds in your ears. Great for the gym, great for running outside, planes, whatever you need. Raycon wireless earbuds is the best way to bring audio with you because no matter how much you shake things up, literally no matter how much you shake, they won't fall out of your ears. So that's a big selling point of these ones is they stick in the puppies.
Right in the puppies.
Their earbuds look good, feel good, sound better than ever. There's also an awareness mode if you need to listen to your surroundings so you can take Raycons with you wherever you go. With optimized gel tips for the perfect in-ear fit, these earbuds are so comfortable, they will not budge. Trust me. You can put them during sex like Leonardo DiCaprio while you're listening to the Boyscast. Raycons offer 8 hours of playtime and 32 hours of battery life, so they actually don't need to be charged that often. And the price is right when you get quality audio at half the price of the premium audio brands. So that's a big thing too, is they're way less money than the other ones. It's no wonder Raycon's everyday earbuds have over 48,000 5-star reviews. So right now, Boyscast listeners get 15% off their Raycon order at buyraycon.com/boyscast. That's buyraycon.com/boyscast to save 15% on Raycons. Buyraycon.com/boyscast. Well, on the topic, of Muslims and balaclavas in Islam. An interesting thing that was happening the appropriation stuff's always like an interesting one for me, but it's so funny because there's basically this trend where they try to make, hijabs and they call them balaclavas essentially. They make it trendy, right?
Well, a hijab is a hijab, a balaclava is a balaclava.
Right, but so what's happening is they've put in like a lot of fashion shows,
women in hijabs, and like Nike made like the running hijab and all that stuff.
To try to kind of, whatever, for obviously reasons of all this stuff, right? And then, they started making kind of, half ones that aren't quite that, but they're basically the style is kind of becoming a stylish style.
Yeah.
So they're sort of putting that out there and all the, models are wearing them and they're selling them. And then kids are putting TikTok challenges wearing this or whatever. It's sort of become like a trendy thing. And then, so these articles are starting to come out basically being like why this is a problem. Do you know what I mean?
Of course.
Of course. But it's such a funny thing because it's like, it really is. They said balaclavas are trendy, but for some Muslim women, it's more complicated. And what they really mean is for some activists, it's more complicated, right?
Yeah.
And it's interesting because you go, the same with anything. If your culture or trend or thing that you do, if you want it to be normalized, which is what their sort of thing is for everything. Like, let's make things that aren't that normal. You know, and at least in America, like if it's not that normal to be walking around with a hijab or whatever, right?
Of course.
I mean, it's not abnormal in New York. Like, you would think nothing of it. Like, I went to school with people that, you know, were dressed like that. It's not abnormal,
Yeah, me too.
but it's not the norm. So if you want to make it like normal where it's like nothing, then this is what comes with it. You don't get to now control it. It's kind of like when a type of music is
But this
underground, but then it becomes the main thing. Now there's going to be all these people doing it lame, and you're not going to like where that goes, sort
For
of.
sure. But this scenario is like, it's just a thing that resembles it. It's not even like, it's not like women are wearing hijabs. They're just wearing balaclavas and they're like, that's too close.
Exactly. But it's like you think you're going to make it like it's like saying tattoos, right? You're kind of like, oh, it should be more normal. It's like, well, guess what? Once that becomes like really normal, the tattoo culture is going to be a lot different. You know, the culture surrounding tattoos and the way that people look at tattoos, once everyone in the world has one and it's the most normal thing in the world, which is, you know, probably kind of that now.
For sure.
Exactly.
Dude, I saw a cop with a fucking cop on the subway.
Oh, cops, every second cop has a sleeve.
No, he had hand tattoos.
Tattoos is
I was
pushing
like,
it.
like he had literally like tattoos on his hand.
Blue Lives Matter?
No, it's like a fiery eyeball.
Really?
I'm like, it's crazy.
It is a bit
like,
much,
I'm like,
yeah.
whatever, but I'm just like,
Well, that's what I said. You're going to have a doctor with a flaming stethoscope. Every firefighter's got his stupid ass fucking...
firefighter, yeah.
No, but they all get their firefighter number tattooed on them.
Their station number.
Whatever, right? But it's like anytime anything becomes, you know, super, everyone's doing it, you don't get to really control it, right? So their thing is, no, we want everyone to be like, this is the most normal thing, but then we also want to be controlling the narrative of how people talk about it and how to see it. And you go, yeah, there's pros and cons of something being like a subculture versus like a mainstream culture, and which is all of this, right? But it's just funny when they're like, she goes, so this student who's a content creator noticed that the balaclavas are being more popular winter accessory. She was ecstatic at first. As the seasons change and trends also change, I feel like I have to force my outfits to the conditions of wearing a hijab and my level of modesty. So she's kind of saying she was happy with it at first. But then now they're starting to say that the problem is, well, when you look at, when they look at it, people feel, there's like, people think bad things. They go, oh, if you're wearing a hijab, that's because you're oppressed or whatever. But when white girls wear it, like no one thinks anything. And this is, so they're sort of saying,
well, they're not wearing a hijab. They're wearing a balaclava.
but even if they are, yeah, but they're saying if they wear the balaclava, even, they get that.
Oh, you have to wear that balaclava.
Yeah, and they were saying that, so there's people posting the videos to TikTok, and they realize the trend has also brought with it some serious issues. These white women can take off the balaclava and abandon the trend, but race, religion, and gender are things somebody can't just wake up and abandon, she says. People are able to wear a balaclava are perceived as trendy and cool, but a hijab can be seen as a symbol of political oppression. So it's basically like an appropriation argument at their core, where they say, well, it's okay for you to do it and okay, not okay for me to do it. But there's so many things to do it. Like, this is the problem with all this stuff. It's only really hits here because it's not white people. Because imagine it was the other way around.
Oh, she'd never go after any non-white person.
Well,
because they're all
this is obviously that. But I'm saying, imagine the argument the other way around, where it's like people started wearing stuff that kind of looked like a Mormon bonnet, and like, you think any of these places would be like, well, when the Mormons wear it, you think they're Mormon, and then when I wear it, they think it's cool, so that's unfair, and you go, what do you want us to do about it?
Yeah,
it's like, I just want
ban the sale of fucking. Like, what's she trying to do? Raise awareness?
Exactly. See, what she wants people to do is, just so you know, look at them exactly the same. It's like, yes, well, when the fucking thing is worn by people who traditionally have that culture, yes, I'm sorry. The same reason why if I see like a biker with an American flag tattoo, it might mean something different than when I see a backpacker with an American flag tattoo.
Yeah.
It's like you go, well, why when the biker wears an American flag tattoo, you think of them as a certain way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but like she's
like, it means different things on different people.
And she's not even saying that this is making her life worse. She's just saying this is some sort of unfairness.
It's some sort of unfairness.
Yeah, she's like, she's not even like, oh yeah, like my life is now worse because all these women are walking around. If anything, it's actually better because it's more normalized. But she's saying like, hey, I still have, people,
and there's
some people who think this. And
then there's also the degree of like, there's that kind of narrative where it's like, well, there's nothing, every girl's doing it under her own volition or whatever.
I haven't seen this once, by the way.
What?
Women wearing balaclavas?
I think I maybe am more exposed to fashion stuff.
Okay. You've been seeing this?
Dude, if you look at like girls, like, you know, I don't know what you'd call it, not like a catalog, but like an online store.
Yeah.
They have like lots of places. That's a big thing that they, you know, kind of have that in them, right? The same way they have like fat models or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But
Do you have any balaclavas on fat models?
that's how they, you know, double the Dutch, right?
Double Dutch, yeah.
But yeah, it was just like it's interesting to me because if you had like the Pope or whatever, and he has his stupid Catholic hat, for example, it's like, yes, it's going to be hard to be stylish, but like a rapper might start wearing that hat. And then now it's like, oh, the Pope hats are cool. Like Kanye West is wearing all these Pope gear or whatever. And it might start catching on. And then yes, Christians could be like, yeah, they're all doing our Pope stuff. But it's like, yeah, that's what happens when the thing, if something's cool and people start to fucking, and it's not even that it was cool. It's like activists like pushed it into a pulp. I guess my point, the reason I'm bringing it up is that I think it's funny to push something really hard into popular culture. And then once it gets into popular culture, have a big problem with that.
Yeah.
If I was to say what I'm like, my point of this.
Yeah,
at its
100%.
core.
And just again, the complaining over essentially nothing.
Well, but their whole thing, and this goes back to a lot of things, is their big problem is, well, you're kind of using it wrong. Like we actually, we wear this for deeply personal reasons,
for
and you're kind of
modesty,
making a
religious-
mockery of it to some degree. Okay, but how many people walk around with crosses and have Bible scripture on there? It's like, hey, don't have them in a church once or whatever. It's like, yeah.
How many Muslim people go drink alcohol? I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
we don't Muslim people who drink.
And then there is the other side of it where they're like, this is not a symbol of oppression. It was like, well, to some places it a little bit is.
And most
if you
people
live in Afghanistan right now and you've had been, fairly secular and you haven't worn one forever, and then the government just made laws that you have to wear it. Like for those people, it is somewhat of a symbol of oppression. So it depends.
Absolutely.
It can be all of them.
And it's mostly just like a bunch of just normal chicks who are like, yeah, I live in a cold city and it's the trend. And most importantly, I'm wearing this to stay warm. And then,
well, there's a
fashion
mix
second.
of that, and then there's a mix of it kind of getting cool because all the big fashion houses for progressive reasons are sort of working them into their repertoires.
Yeah. Should we get some? Because this isn't even a female thing only, right? Maybe that's what it is. Guys need to start wearing this because guys don't wear hijabs, right? That's a female thing. So maybe if guys start wearing the balaclavas, even though I think that's primarily who has them in the past, is like robbers and just guys, whatever, you wear the balaclavas. But maybe guys need to start wearing these fashionable balaclavas more.
Fat, gay, non-binary men.
Yeah. No, just anybody, any men, just in
With the
solidarity
job,
with our
I cross
hijabi
used to do all the same.
sisters.
Yeah, you're sort of a solidarity with the Hijabi sisters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to get one.
I'd like to see you, do your new podcast with the hijab on, just sort of see how that goes.
But it's not a hijab, it's a balaclava,
Right.
which is, I feel that's a European
It's
thing.
more of appropriating robbers culture.
Yeah, exactly. That's the next article in the New York Times.
Criminal culture.
Some robber with like the fucking
Well,
you
this
see
is
his
unfair
face?
because when I wear it, sometimes I end up in jail, whereas they want all the benefits without actually having to do the bank robberies that go along with it.
Must be nice.
So it's just funny because I always like to do these back to back of kind of showing the type of these like microaggression type of racism that's being talked about here, and then finding one that kind of happens somewhere else to show the controversy. But in Japan, so basically this woman gave up her child after learning the sperm donor lied about his ethnicity and education.
Yeah.
And so in Japan, so basically what happened was this woman, she wanted to get preggo, and she was like, she couldn't. So instead of, going through the channels and try to get sperm donor, they just find a guy on the internet that bones them a bunch.
I know, that was the craziest thing. I was reading this and I go like, oh, that's how you do sperm? Because they don't do it. They're not a big
The woman had
country.
sex with the sperm donor 10 times to get pregnant. So pretty sick move for the sperm donor.
Yeah, I was like, I should move to fucking Japan.
Because there's a couple of takeaways. And the first takeaway is that you really, I'll tell you more about what happened. But basically, after it happened, the woman, Tokyo resident in her 30s, shares a child with her husband and was seeking to have a second child. But after learning the partner had a hereditary disease, the woman decided to find a sperm donor on social media. The donor she chose claimed he was a Japanese and a graduate of the prestigious Kyoto University.
Fuck yeah.
And he had sex with her 10 times to get pregnant. Japanese newspaper shows up. But then it turns out he was Chinese and went to a different university. And the fact that he was Chinese for her, she goes, baby can't be Chinese.
Yeah. Oh, the one thing I was was surprised with that because they all like hate each other.
They need a paint swatch for their racism because it's
Well,
it's
but like
like
a
Irish
Chinese
to
person-
Scottish racism.
Yeah, but like a Chinese person, like a Japanese, that's the one thing where I go like Japanese people can tell the difference between like it's almost like the stereotype
Sometimes.
where they're like they speak a different language.
Well, this guy probably grew up in Japan, obviously.
Oh, he's just ethnically. I thought he was like from China.
Well, I would like to think that he didn't have a strong Chinese accent. I mean, what would you be here, meet with a guy, and he goes, oh, yeah, I'm Russian, mate. Wait, you'd have to be a moron. Yeah. Obviously, they had the same dialect.
I assumed he had like come from China and just like maybe spoke some Japanese or I don't know. I guess if he was born in Japan.
Probably even a huger move. If he had faked the accent and everything.
Just straight ethnically Chinese. Okay, maybe.
Yeah, and that's how racist they are. That's like the equivalent of, a Greek person wanting another Greek person, then finds out the person's Macedonian, and you go, baby's in the garbage.
I don't like Vice promoting stereotypes like this, though.
Well, they put the baby up for adoption. Like, that's how much she's like, I can't even. I mean, there's so many funny parts of this because the idea of being a sperm donor and that you're going on the internet instead of finding a prosty, this guy's hacked the code where you go for girls.
You get paid.
You get paid
this
to
is
just
like
come
Gary,
bone.
This is Gary V shit right here.
To come bone. It really
this is real Gary V shit.
Y'all fucking, I'm working.
Yeah, Gary V's like, dude, you fucking throw your cum in the garbage? I'm getting paid for mine.
Yeah. Every time you drop a load.
It's literally, you might as well be flushing money down the toilet.
Yeah, which Danny does not recommend. Do not get started.
Do not get me started.
Not that you would ever flush money down the toilet.
No.
But so I'm loving the idea that this guy found a hack. But then on top of that, he's put on this whole act. Like he's probably talking to 5 girls where the girl goes, looking for a Japanese guy with a good school. He's like, yeah, I'm Japanese and went to, I don't know, goodschool.com.
Kyoto University.
Yeah, what would be your favorite school? Crazy, I went to that one. You want to start? All right. By the way, I like to get them fluffed up a little bit if you want to open the mouth. Do you think
I wonder how she figured it out.
Probably straight down to business, too. I can't imagine. Well, maybe they did a DNA test on the child, right?
I could be wrong, but I don't know if
they did an ancestry.com.
Yeah, I guess there's some marker that says you're Japanese versus Chinese, I guess.
Isn't that wild? So this guy, he basically, when he was coming, he goes, I'm Chinese.
Only the 10th time, though.
On the 10th time,
gave it away.
After getting pregnant, the woman discovered the donor was Chinese. And then she said by the time she knew of his identity, it was too late for her to abort. She's given up the child for adoption now. The woman filed a lawsuit against the donor for 330 million yen, which is like 3 mil, for emotional distress.
Does he get, I wonder...
It was not going to work out for the guy now if he's got to do all this
stuff. Does he get
but
paid? Like when you set up that scenario, are you like, look, like it's a flat rate until you get pregnant?
Or does he get paid per
however
bone?
many fucks needed? Or is it you get paid per? And he goes, look, it's like, I'm giving you the goods. If you can't turn that into a kid, that's on you.
I would like to think that the guys would do it for free. I mean, I can't imagine unless this girl's absolutely fucking busted.
No.
Unless she's just a beast. If you put online, hey, if you want to come bone me, the only thing is I get to keep the sperm.
It's a good deal.
I can't imagine it'd be too hard to find a dude. Go on one gaming forum. She doesn't want the gaming forum.
I guess
she
in
wants
Japan
a Harvard.
it's a problem because so many people there like don't like having sex because it's icky.
You think that's a problem over there?
Yeah, it is.
What do you mean they don't want to have sex because it's icky?
They're like this whole thing in Japan, like culturally, where they're like their birth rate is they have like the highest.
Did you have sex with a Japanese girl and that's what she told you? No. We just it's cultural.
Yeah, it's cultural. It's gross.
It's icky for us. It's cultural.
No. It's it's guys and women. It's like a real known thing where their birth rate's like really low and they have a
because it's icky.
No, they find it like gross, and so it's like a real problem because they're not
really.
They're not
can't
replacing their
this.
population, and then they also have like a really old population.
This is stupid. That's not the reason that they're.
I'm telling you,
they're like they're the hub for sex robots and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
they can't even wait.
Yeah, exactly. Sex robots because having sex with a real person's gross.
Okay, so real person's gross, but the robot they can't even wait for it to get off the presses. I told you they're burning their dicks to get. They're getting those sex robots so fast.
You can look it up.
No, dude, and people, it's almost more normal there to go to the brothels and stuff like that. I've heard.
I mean,
It's
maybe,
like part of it's almost like a business
maybe
thing. It's
it
like,
is,
oh,
but
you want
there's
to pop
a-
by the brothel, get a fucking quick tugger?
Yeah, there's a whole like kind of generation of people there who are just like they're just video game and they don't have sex.
This is ridiculous.
Okay, you'll see it in the comments, man.
Well, okay, you're saying that there's a bunch of people that like
It's
that
like
play
in
video games and don't have
Japan-
sex. They might not want to do the whole thing, but they don't think it's icky.
Yes, it's like they're
Those people are gay.
No.
So you have a guy, he's getting blown by a hot chick, and he goes, "Yeah,
hot chick. He doesn't even want to talk to a woman.
Well, that's not the same thing. You're conflating.
They're
him-
like incels, but like not in like a dangerous American.
Well, they're
way.
lying then. If they might say like, actually, I didn't even fucking. If anything, I don't even want to. I think it's
Good.
gross. Easy to say that when you're not having pussy thrown at you.
No, I'm telling you, and women too. It's not even just a guy thing. It's a female thing. They have a real like it's a cultural.
I've
I don't
heard
know
that.
if it's-
I've heard that they're not. You know,
I don't know if-
procreating
I don't
or
know if
whatever,
it's
but
because the-
we have that a little bit here too, and it's not because guys think the
No,
sex
but not
icky.
not to the degree. Like I was saying on the fucking Kurt's podcast or whatever. Like they're saying that like the population of Japan in 80 years is going to be the same as it is today.
Yeah, I heard that.
Which is not good.
That's not because they think it's icky.
Some of them do.
Oh my God. Yeah, a small percentage. And so anyway, she's basically saying that the distrust of her image, because what happened was, you know, when she went public, but this is sort of her problem because she sued. If she didn't sue, this wouldn't be a public issue because the adoption places are all probably discreet. So this went public and now everyone's commenting her, calling her the worst person ever or whatever for putting the baby up for adoption. And she's sort of saying that's this guy's fault, but
That's fair.
well, she's trying to get $3 million out of it, right?
Yeah, I wonder how much she paid him.
That is the long con for her to be a prostitute, though, right? Because she's, if you
Yeah,
actually,
they go to court. All
well,
this
she's
stuff.
thinking about the whole time. This guy's like, she doesn't even know I'm getting, you know, she's paying me for this sex, and he's like, this guy doesn't even know this sex is going to be costing $3 million. The biggest long con in the history.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting culturally that like. Because here, nobody would ever go public with something like that. You might privately put the kid up for adoption.
No,
if
but
it's
once you
like-
start suing and all that stuff, it becomes a public matter.
I guess, yeah. That's. But I wonder if, yeah, I don't know if you can do that here. I guess you can. You can. It would be like fraud.
So how much do you think the average man's boned in Japan? Like your average, like 30-year-old dude. What do you think average partners?
Average partners,
Yeah.
3.
Yeah. So then every time it was icky for them?
Yeah. Well, no, the ones who are icky are 0. They're fucking with the.
Danny
averages.
might be half Japanese.
They're fucking
is
with
what
the averages.
Danny's turning Japanese. He really thinks. Imagine that you're having sex with because they think it's icky.
Yeah.
When if you're having sex with a big girl, you go, "I think I'm turning Japanese. I really think so."
She's like, "Did you just throw up in your mouth?" I think I'm maybe Japanese.
I'm turning Japanese. I think I'm turning Japanese. I really think so. Why? What happened? That girl that I boned. Whenever you take home, just a fucking. You take home a heifer, just weird face, not looking good. I think I'm turning Japanese. So
Yeah.
that's definitely a funny song to put on.
I don't know that song.
What?
I don't know that song.
Interesting.
What song is that?
What was the Weezer one? Weezer has a Japanese one too.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I don't remember it, but
God damn those half Japanese girls
Yeah.
make me puke every time. Oh, don't call me. It's so icky. And I'm puking, yeah. So that's another one.
yep.
Puking during sex.
Puking during sex.
But I was just like, interesting. I saw this kind of study come up. And they were, you know, a lot of people talk about the average fucking, you know, the amount of kills that people have.
Yeah.
They were sort of doing this study. And one of the things that people always go out there and say, this is the amount, this is the amount. And this sort of study came out and say, there's very conflicting data on what the normal amounts are. So the CDC, who's telling everyone else that has misinformation.
Yeah.
CDC came out and they said women between the ages of 25 and 44 have an average median of 4.2 partners, and the men in that age group had a median of 6.1. So this is what the CDC says. That to me, that sounds like misinformation.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I guess I imagine they probably take a pretty small poll, but yeah, it is a CDC. I don't know.
Well, the
Maybe it is.
CDC is coming out there with, they're accusing everyone else of misinformation, and then they're like average of 4 to 6. So that's, to me, seems wrong. But then there's other studies that said, reported having an average of, that men were an average of 26 before settling down, and a woman was an average of 19 before they get married. So it's always saying dudes are higher.
Yeah. I think that's, well, again, but
That's
there's
'cause
the
of
whole
the
element of the
median.
lying, and then there's lots of guys who have zero sex because of
That's why the median's higher. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
but there's
But if you were doing that,
women who had, there are not a lot of women who have no sex unless it's
yeah,
like
because there's a
their-
lot of dudes that are, you know, like on your average woman on a lot of the low end has had sex with more, but there's a couple dudes that like put up fucking numbers.
like Wilt the Still, you know?
You know what I mean? That they bring the mean up
Oh yeah.
by.
But again, yeah, there's enough guys who are not getting laid at all. It's like, you know, there's been many movies written about it, Porky's.
So that's the median, yeah. But, and then they said LGBT. So there is, and then this other one said millennials had an average of 8 partners. So there's 3 big studies that are all giving conflicting data.
Yeah.
So it's very hard to know what to believe. And then they said, so this is what the data was on LGBTQ people. They said average of 30 life partners, whereas lesbians is an average of 12, which I'll tell you right now, the average gay guy, I would say it's 30 trillion.
Yeah, I was gonna say 30 like this week.
Yeah, one pride.
That's
maybe
a-
at Pride.
Yeah, that's just exactly.
Apparently, there's a really big epidemic right now of at the steam rooms in New York. I was hanging out with my boy who actually listened to the podcast, and he said that he was at the steam room and fucking
Comic from the pair.
yeah.
Yeah, I saw his. Another comic posted his text. Or
Yeah, I think he
whatever.
might be doing a joke about it, but
Oh, okay.
he did. Yeah, so I'm not gonna like do the whole thing, but basically he was in the sauna, and then 2 guys were blowing each other.
Like they were 69ing.
No,
Oh,
one was blowing the other,
Oh, got it.
and then he legitimately walked out. And I've heard, and everyone, we were sort of talking about this, and a few other people said they had the same thing.
Huh. I mean, that's a known thing, right? Guys go to bathhouses to hook up.
But it's not a bathhouse,
steam-
Daniel.
or steam room
This is
and stuff.
you go to the. So,
Oh, this is like at a gym?
dude, in New York, dudes are like blowing each other right and left at the like this just the gym sauna.
I've never seen that.
Well, did you go to gym saunas in New York?
No.
I guess you wouldn't have seen it then, huh?
I guess that's a good point. I've been to saunas. I mean, I went to
And steam
I went to
rooms.
this like Scandinavian.
I'll tell you
thing
what,
there.
that's icky.
Yeah.
But they
What,
have-
what doing the blowing or
Well,
getting
so
the blowing?
gay dudes are fucking ballsy.
Oh, yeah.
No pun intended. Because you go, can you imagine like if you pull your dick out in front of you get caught? It's like that is legit like sex offender for life sort of fucking thing, right?
You would think so, yeah.
Pulling your erect dick out
Like
at a fucking.
it almost has to be this like known thing where you go, yeah, this place is like chill for that stuff.
It used to be, but apparently now they're expanding.
Like, is this a thing happening at like Equinox?
Oh,
Like, is
yeah,
this-
that's a big
like-
place. It's happening at.
Yeah, like it's like Equinox
Mm-hmm.
something. Yeah.
In the West Village, it's a big time. But so the studies and then the 2004 report for the National Bureau said that this is what information they're trying to put out there. They said the ideal number of sexual partners for maximizing happiness is 1 a year. And that's what they're trying to say. You want 1 a year.
Until what?
Do you agree with that? No, they said that's well until
life?
no, they said that's for life, like the maximum happiness. So it's sort of okay to show that to your chick.
It's like
But-
literally like the hall pass. He goes, "You just need 1 hall pass a year."
Yeah.
Yes.
And then they were I mean, if they're saying there's the maximum for your life is 1 a year, I go, I guess call me happy CDC because call me unhappy.
Yeah.
Depends on, and it depends on your age. For me, I would say that this is the thing with all this sort of stuff. They're kind of like, it's what makes you happier is 1 a year. It's like, well, it depends on your life. I'll tell you what, when I was in college, that would leave me an unhappy boy. Yeah. You know what I mean? Imagine you were like, when I was in fucking touring with the band, if I was cranking 1 a year, if I was doing 1 a year, I would not, I'll tell you what, the guy on that tour that like smashed 1 a year wouldn't be the happiest guy.
No.
He'd be ready to shoot up a fucking school,
He'd be the incel.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's obviously depends on time.
And they're trying to say that a 2018 study from the Institute of Family Studies said that couples in which both spouses have ever slept with only each other were slightly more likely to be satisfied with their marriages. And 52% of couples who had spouses had 6 to 10 partners, apparently the least happy group, still reported being very happy with their marriages. So they say they're
So
sort
basically, marriage is sick.
they're trying to, this is to some degree. This is
What is this, the Ben Shapiro Institute or some shit where it's like just only having sex with one partner ever in your life?
Well, here's what I will say. in this, in my opinion. There is like truth to this, of course, because have you ever, I remember even in the pandemic and things like that, where you go, if you're just like not around the whole thing, yes, but in reality, you are around it. What makes you fucking, like it's the FOMO situation, right?
Yeah.
And it's easier. Like there was forever, you know what I mean? Like let's say you just live in some sort of small town. It's not like pussies getting thrown at you and nonstop, but I'll tell you what, if you are a guy that's like, been through that whole thing, you're right. It is like to some degree addiction, which maybe is unhealthy or whatever, but it's like, okay, but you did want to do that. And now going back to fucking, if you're like single and you're like, oh, I'm only having like one a year. It's like, okay, but yeah, you think that's worse now. You're not happy. You go, if you never knew any better, you could say that about anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. It's relative.
You might say that, you know, oh, you know what's better? People that never smoked are actually happier than people that smoked and quit. And you go, yeah, no shit. Or whatever.
Yeah.
Like someone who
Or
never
drug
drank or anything that's like, you know what I mean?
Everybody in rehab.
Anything that's fun to do that kind of is probably not the totally best for you.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah. How do you start an institute?
But if you don't live in a scenario where, you know, people culturally are like that, I find that, you know, depends, because they would sort of, you know, say that even with girls, like, you know, people will go, you know, I just want someone that's like, you know, culturally normal and a trad wife and she's only been with 2 guys. It's like, okay, that's boring though. You better, I would need someone that, well, according to this study, it's not that crazy off, but I would need someone that was like, if that was the case, I would definitely need
What do you
to be
prefer,
like
triple digits?
You'd be like, okay, you're the fucking guma that makes the things.
The guma.
No, I would say you're the guma that makes the things, and then I'm allowed to be on the prowl.
That makes the things.
Foods.
The foods, the children. Foods, the children, you know, all that stuff.
But in this world, in this reality, so I would agree, if you are the Ben Shapiro, the guy that's very religious or whatever,
Yeah.
and you're only around that, and your social circle's all that, then maybe you are probably happier. But
Maybe.
I mean, depends on your thing. I'm not fucking, you know, I'm built for the pirate life, my friend. I'm not built
The sea shanties?
even not even girl wise, you know, it's just like careers wise, anything. It's like, some people, you're not built for fucking just the, go through the things, blah, blah, blah.
Age is such a huge factor with this, though.
2.5 kids in a house in a fucking, you know, what's that, you know.
Age is such a huge factor, though, because it's like depending on.
Of course.
Yeah, that's the biggest factor with all this.
But there is both, you know, it is, if you're not around any of this stuff, out of sight, out of mind, yeah, it is better.
Yeah.
But can you be out of sight, out of mind? That's why I think if you are, people are smart to like move out of the city and stuff like that when they're fucking settling down with the
lifestyle
kids.
design.
Be around those. It is lifestyle design. You got to put
Although
yourself
you know
around
what
people doing
happens
your thing.
is people go to like the burbs and do that shit, and then they fucking start fucking the neighbors, and then
That's
it's
what
like
happens.
real scandals because you're in a small community and you're like fucking fucked my wife. And
Yeah, when I was definitely putting it down, I would say that I was definitely less happy in a relationship. Like when you were putting up numbers, I would say that like anytime I got in a relationship, I was way more fucking like, what am I? I was also
looking
younger.
at the watch.
Oh, buddy, I would be, every day I'd wake up and I go, I can't do this anymore. I remember just
and she turns, do what? You go, oh, I didn't know you were here.
yeah, oh, sorry. We're going to have to break up. I'm not equipped for this, blah, blah. But now, I just feel like a big part of it is you just don't like, time's not so thing. It's like, I just don't care as much I'll never care as much as I did about anything when I did when I was younger.
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate.
Because you realize that it's not the end of the world and it's not that big a deal.
No.
Whereas at the time, it does sort of get in your head that everything's, and you're just like, everything's FOMO. You know what I mean? You're just like looking at everyone around you. So if you are, that's why when you fucking get a chick, it's like the single friends, you got to sort of switch it where you go, what is this guy running around? Fucking all the men have girlfriends now. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
You have to.
The testosterone's higher too when you're younger. Definitely
That's true. Mine's higher now, but
You think yours goes up?
no, I
You
just
think you're bucking the trend and yours is actually going up?
bucking the trend. My tea's bucking the trend. I was sort of a late bloomer, like even grew late and sort of stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I might be sort of just
Maybe
reaching my testosterone peak.
That would be impressive.
I did. I was like, I was one of those ones that sort of like had a growth spurt around like, 19 or 20. Like I wasn't done growing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then was still growing. Like my beard was still getting more full when I was like 25. Like, so
I think that's normal, but the growth spurt, I guess you see it in the NBA all the time where there's like some guy or whatever. There's like, I saw some
Adds a couple
high school
inches.
basketball player who like, he's like 7'4", and he was like 6'10" like a year previous, and they thought he was done growing or whatever, and he's just a beast.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, they were sort of saying, then they sort of put their feminist rant on their things. This is the article of all these studies. They say, well, it might help you to consider. So they're saying if men have a weird feeling about their partner's number, it might help for you to take a moment to consider why you feel that way. Is your response to their number a negative one? Consider what emotions are behind your viewpoint. Is it rooted in insecurity, shame, jealousy? Are you upset with your partners for not sharing their values? Are you simply following along with abstract social norms without really questioning them? This idea that you can't have a preference on that is so insane.
Yeah, I go full 90s military. Just don't ask, don't tell.
You go that?
Yeah.
Depends. I fucking usually sort of already know the ballpark or whatever.
I mean,
but I'm
you
usually
kind
fairly
of figure
chatty.
it out, but I'm never like, yeah, let's see the list, please.
Yeah, I'm a sort of a chatty guy, so I fucking start to get into that topics or whatever. I don't mind going into those things. I would say certain, but this is a thing that I was thinking about with this. I feel like this stuff also bugs you a bit when you're younger, and here's one of the reasons why. When you're because girls to some degree mature a little quicker than dudes a lot of times, right? Mm-hmm. So a lot of times if you're 18 and you're dating some girl that's like 18 or whatever, because people are more likely to date people their own age at that time, then it is sort of, there is a situation where, a lot of times it's sure way higher. But if you're a dude and you're like 30 now, it's not that likely you're dating a girl that's like doubled your numbers. So it's less likely it's an issue. Because even if you're a dude that's like, oh, she's telling you some pretty high numbers, you're like, yeah, that was fucking 3 years for me, pal. She goes, what? You go, yeah, fucking, you think I can't. So
but
I think
there is the element though where a lot of women, like unless they're like, they will go lower.
Oh, yeah?
Well, I'm saying that. So if you're saying that,
yeah, everyone knows that though. You fucking add the factor.
You're saying you're adding the factor. Yeah.
So, but their sort of idea is that like, why are you being insecurity, shame, blah, blah, whatever they want to say. But it's like, to be honest, if you're the type of person that's only smashed 3, it's like, yeah, you don't want to be with the girl that's put down fucking 90. But they'll tell you and different people can think however they want about this, and you could have whatever girl you want. But there is positives, negatives. Not that you want like 90, but if you're dating a girl that only dated 2 dudes, and they were like the sickest dudes fucking putting down performances, now you got that. At least if a girl has been with like 15 or whatever, now you have or whatever it is.
Just
now
enough of a range.
You have enough of a range that at least you're getting to fight against the average. So it depends on who the guys are. If she goes, I've only had one boyfriend, and it's just this like massive jacked like fucking dude.
Like Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, 12-incher just fucking laying it down. You go, her only other frame of reference is that one pounding.
But she is with you, so that's something.
Yeah. And she's going, and she thinks you're now so bad at sex, and you're going, actually, I'm average.
I'm quite good at sex. Maybe not compared to the last guy, but
it depends.
I'm
but
not bad, Missy.
Imagine it's the other way around, where she goes, I've only been with these 2 dudes, and it's just like, hi, I'm the boyfriend. And this guy was like, he had some money and then he lost it all. So he's broke and he's weird. And then you go, that's the only thing you're competing to. And then on top of that, he used to punch the drywall. You go, if she's only been with that guy, you go, life's going to be pretty on easy mode.
Yeah.
The competition not looking so hot.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But, and they're saying, oh, some people look at girls that have, been with a lot of dudes and think they're crazy or less competent or emotionally stable or whatever. And
less competent?
This is what they're saying. The study proved that guys think this when they look at girls that have...
That women have banged a lot, they go, they're less competent.
This is what apparently, when people have judged them on the surveys, this is the kind of thing they say, less emotionally stable or whatever. But this is often true. You could say, you might say the same thing about like dudes where it's like dudes that are fucking nonstop, like, pussy crazy. It's like they're chasing something or something like that. But like, just to say it says nothing about them, to be like, there's actually plenty of girls that had sex with 5 and plenty of girls that had sex with 200 and they're no different at all. And you're like, well, they are though. It does say something about that. Absolutely. Whether you like them, that or not, it's up to you. And they are a little crazier on average if you're putting up numbers of girls, but it's like, just the same way that a fucking dude that is putting up crazy numbers might be a little bit of more of an asshole. You could probably say that.
Yeah. Chad. Giga Chad. That's the term.
Well, don't you think it's fair to say that, that a dude that fucking, lay and pie, it almost makes you.
It makes you a different person when you're just being that guy.
And it makes you almost sometimes when you're really putting down numbers, one of the things it does make you do is have less respect for women because they do become so, transactional and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And you see all the behaviors that like girls do. And so you only see girls kind of like in the context of their worst a lot of times. You know what I mean? Like, for example, some chick, cheating on their boyfriend or going, whatever it is, you know what I mean? You might see like in that sort of party scene or whatever, you're seeing girls like, just going home with dudes, all that stuff, as opposed to if you're in sort of a social circle where everyone's normal, you're not going to see just nonstop like crazy shit like that.
Yeah, for sure.
So
yeah.
all that
The
adds up
environmental,
to, you have a negative effect on, you kind of makes you look at women
if you
where
get
you go,
in
I
a
don't trust
crazy-
these fucking hoes.
Yeah.
It's like rapper mentality, like Hoodville shit where you go, can't trust these hoes.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's the environment. If you start hanging around like fucking after hours every night, like,
Yeah.
you can get different crew of people.
But I think the move is you want a girl that's probably a bit less than you because you want to be able to have that flex a little bit. And then on top of that, you don't want it to be too low because you're competing against only those guys. And then also that girl's probably a little too fucking.
I'd say for
On
if
the
you're a
ball,
guy,
boring.
you just got to get into double digits.
If you're a dude, you want to get up there a little.
You got to
Yeah.
get in double digits.
Yeah. One day for you.
One day I'll get there. But yeah. I mean, I guess it depends who you ask, but like it feels like there if you get like
contested issue.
I definitely know
It's a hot topic issue.
I know, like, but people who have like 2 or something, they marry the second person they ever have sex with, and you're like, must think about that.
Well, a lot of them might think about that on their way to the fucking prosties.
Well, that doesn't count though. Those count. Even if you pay for them, they still count as a number.
I'm not going to count on the census. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, they're like walking down the street, and they're like, "Hey, we're taking a census." And you're like with your wife. You're like, "How many people you fuck?" And he's like,
Going to take another quick second here to tell you about Butcher Box.
"I love Butcher Box. I love Butcher Box."
You might call him a Butcher Box, as in a square guy that likes Butcher Box.
What?
Meal prepping is difficult, but Butcher Box makes it easy. I'm personally a chicken man. Danny's a steak man. I got it from my dad, actually. Even Butcher Box subscription service that takes the guesswork out of finding high quality meats. They source their meat with partners from the highest standards of quality. No more searching for the grocery store like some chump asking people questions.
I mean,
is this chicken?
Yeah, not only that, but if you've been to a grocery store lately, there's not a lot of meat there. So this is an even better fucking thing, is that you don't have to worry about goddamn supply chain issues. And fucking Jim Biden over here.
That's true. It's not a lot of meat there, not a lot of meat in Danny's pants.
That's COVID. That's short COVID. I have short COVID.
No more searching for the grocery store for 100% grass-fed beef, free-range organic chicken, wild-caught seafood, and more. Their sourcing decisions are made holistically, keeping the farmer, the planet, the animal, and family in mind. So, every month, Butcher Box ships a curated section of high-quality meats right to your home, free shipping for the continental U.S. Customize your own box or get one of theirs. Either way, you get exactly what you want. For a limited time, Butcher Box is now offering members a great deal for the new year. Sign up at butcherbox.com/boyscast and you'll receive the ultimate New Year's bundle in your first box. This deal includes ground beef, chicken thighs, and pork butt. That's more than 7 pounds of meat added to your first box for free. Get this New Year's bundle before it's gone by going to butcherbox.com/boyscast. Well, want to hear a stat that you won't like?
Okay.
It's sort of going to be bad news for you, but almost 1 in 10 moms isn't sure who fathered their baby. That's what New York Post says. Not crazy.
Seems a little on the high side.
Well, they said nearly 10 mothers don't know who fathered the child. According to a surprising new poll in the UK, the question of parental identity was included in a broader survey about lying. So it was basically they were doing these surveys about lying. I'm
surprised.
For example, this casino or whatever they're trying to find out how much people lie or whatever. And then a study in 2005 by the Journal of Epidemiology estimated that 4% of American fathers were raising a child that was not biologically their own.
The title of this article should be "Bitches Be
Crazy.
Lying."
Well, they said,
Why you always lying?
Well, that girl, you lie. So I'm back on Hoodville's side now.
Why you always lying?
Who was that?
I don't remember.
Stop your fucking lying. That was,
I
yeah.
don't remember.
Well, the thing is, it was literally like that Chris Rock joke because they said apparently the survey found that more than half of men, 50%, admit to lying on a daily basis. Well, only 36% of girls admit to lying on a daily basis. But that's a Chris Rock thing. Is a man's lie is I wasn't at the club. A woman's lie is it's your baby. So apparently that's what's happening.
I guess there's a little, there's truth in these jokes.
I wonder how many of the guys like kind of low key know.
Well, I mean, there's the classic.
You would-
doesn't look like
You
me.
would think, I'd also like to know what the definition of raising means, because my guess would be a lot of the ones where the girl doesn't know who the father is, but she was like, says it's the one guy, but the guy's not like doing that much raising, maybe.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
first of all, 50% of, whatever crazy amount of people are single mothers right now. Raising means like, comes over once a month and plays catch for a half an hour.
Well, yeah, I guess it's the paternity is if they ever have to do the paternity test.
Well, that's the thing. So I would say to the boys, it's like, if a girl calls you and says, I'm fucking preggo, first thing to say is 1 in 10 chance that just ain't mine. So
Yeah, well, it's like
10% it might not even yours.
It's like the Japanese thing. You got to do the 23andMe.
You have to do
Find
the
out if they're
23andMe
Chinese
on the baby. Find out if they're Chinese.
Right? Find out if you got a little Chinese in there.
Your kid starts
Something's going on here.
Your kid comes home with an A in math. You go, you're stupid. I'm stupid.
What's going on here?
What's going on?
Explain yourself.
Why does our kid instinctually know how to do karate? Can you explain that to me? Your kid's cooking pizzas. Yeah, we're not Italian.
What is going on here?
No, I have a kid with a chick, and then the kid, I show up, and he's doing accounting with his glasses on. He's got a Jufro. I go, Danny.
Yeah, this is crazy though. The idea that 1 in 10 kids.
Oh,
Or 1 in 10.
I mean, who knows if that's the exact number, but even if it's not,
This is why
even
the
if it's
Boyscast
close to
exists,
that,
though,
it's a percent of. It's
we're
like
outing them.
We're outing these. We're
ladies.
outing these hoes.
Well, you just got to prepare you for
A million.
a life of potentially.
That's wild, though, right?
That's a lot.
Because I guess a lot of
That's in the
people
UK,
get
yeah.
pregnant that aren't, married or whatever.
I mean,
all that
there's
stuff.
the whole Maury Povich is the bread and butter.
I know.
I mean, when you put it in the context of Maury Povich, it does seem very believable. Assuming
How he got so many of them.
Yeah, he probably was like, you should see how many we reject.
Right.
It's like the fucking reject bin is just like fills up a warehouse.
Do you think that the guys that did the backflips and stuff knew how to do the backflips, or they found out they were going on Maury Povich and went in to get a trainer to do a back? Like, that's part of it. They go, we can provide you a backflip trainer.
Yeah, he goes, they got to train like montage style.
I'm going on Maury Povich in a week to find out if I'm the father. I got to learn to dance in a week. That's a good a movie where, the movies where I've got 1 week
Yeah, it's the
to learn how to be
and the montage.
I gotta learn how to be the best poker player in the world in less than a week. I've got to learn how to be able to do the Dougie in less than a week. What's going on in less than a week? I'm gonna find out it's not my card. Well, we gotta get to fucking work. We got the whole team.
You got to learn that and fake crying just to you don't know which way it's going.
You don't know which way it's going. Okay, well, the one thing this is one thing we feel like we have to talk about, which is Danny's boy Chamath.
Yeah.
Got in a little bit of hot water. It's a lot of people were in
did
trouble
he?
for podcasting. Let's just hope the Pope doesn't go on any podcasting tours. He's going to be in trouble, which is the theme of the videos last week. And I got a
Why
million
doesn't he have
people
his
that
own
were tagging me and Chamath's thing because of the video, how to get fired from podcasting.
Oh,
or whatever.
yeah.
I mean, he can't get fired, but so
I was thinking, actually, we'll go on. But
the Warriors part owner, Chamath we can never remember his name. Palihapitiya says he doesn't care about the genocide in China, and then he backtracks. And I listened to this episode.
I as well.
And so it was, I want to say, I've said this before that I feel like Chamath is the king of bad takes.
Yep.
And he was kind of he's always like, going public with these sleazy SPACs that kind of fuck people over and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like he's to some degree the king of contradicting himself. That being said, the point that he's making is the one guy was saying, the Uyghur Muslims, it's, a genocide going on. It's terrible. And he was kind of saying, listen, I know that you want us to care about that, but like the truth is people don't really actually care.
Yeah. And he's right. It's just.
And he was saying, I don't really care where people didn't
he said
like
it in such a callous way where I think it kind of, that's like the real,
yes,
like kind of his downfall in this sense. Cause he straight up was just like, look, I don't care about this. And then Jay Calico, whatever the moderator was like,
they retweet our videos and stuff.
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah. But he's like, what do you mean? I've talked to him, Jason Calacanis before, but he's like, what do you mean you don't care? And he's like, yeah. He's like, I don't know. There's just other things I care about, and can't care about. He's like, if you care about everything, if you try and fix everything, you're not going to fix anything.
That's the biggest point.
And he's like, but again, it was more just how harsh it was.
It's always.
But again, the best point he made was he's like, look, well, are you going to stop doing business with China?
Yeah.
Like all this stuff, and everybody's like, no.
Well, because the Warriors came out and they're like, we don't think this, and that's the broader point that I was sort of thinking. It's like when people say, they care about it. Well, what does that mean? Because a million people go, I care about this, I care about that, or whatever. Like, well, what do you mean?
You mean I want points? So points.
What is
like what do you do?
Yeah, what do you do?
Nothing. And again, the funny thing is, and again,
what does that mean that you care about it?
How narrative and like news cycle driven all this stuff is. So he has this clip, and because it is like, I think it is the #1 tech podcast in the world now, like on the charts. So stuff like this can become news stories, and these guys have high profiles. So then they go, the owner of the Golden State Warriors, he's minority owner. He owns 10%. He's not, but they don't differentiate. And then the Warriors have to come out and say, hey, he doesn't speak for us and the NBA.
It's the nerve of the basketball people to kind of say that.
Exactly. With the Hong Kong thing, it's like before COVID, Daryl Morey.
You're who he's talking about.
Yeah, but it's like Daryl Morey of the GM of the fucking Houston Rockets tweeted, I stand with Hong Kong over their issue with like the law being changed.
They made him take
China.
it down or something?
Not only did they make it take it down, they were fucking like groveling. Like the NBA,
Right.
the Chinese government pulled every NBA game.
I remember
from
all
TV.
this,
Remember
yeah.
all that stuff, and then all the players, like LeBron, was like, "Yeah, Daryl Morey like put us in danger, and like he shouldn't, like it's not his business, and he shouldn't." And you're like, okay, well, like that is a legit thing.
Well, I think one of the reasons why a lot of people like referencing the Uyghur thing is because it is one that like kind of shows everyone's hypocrisy, because there's a lot of people that are like, I care about this and this and this. And then when it ever comes to these China issues, it's like they abandon all their principles allegedly. So I think everyone loves to have moral high ground. There's a lot of people that, especially in the political realm, love being like, oh, you care about this? Well, do you care about this?
Yeah.
Do you care about this? Well, I didn't see you care about this. Mm-hmm. Right?
It's like I honestly like agree with Chamath. He's just like, the soundbite sucks.
I mean, I don't know if I would, like when you say,
I mean, like,
I don't care, it really does need
like,
defining.
do you care?
Well, what does that mean?
Well,
like,
that's I think that's what he's
I'll
saying.
tell you what, if I'm watching when people tell me what's happening, I do go, yeah, that's fucking crazy. Mm-hmm. But our buddy who's like another, guy who knows these people, kind of another, very rich guy or whatever. He had a pretty good point where he's like, if Chamath had said, for example, that, well, his whole argument was kind of like, I care about this stuff in America. Like, for example, the problems we have with prisons and stuff like that. And, we have worse things here. And it was like, no, that's not worse. Like the people, going to prison is not worse than being like tortured and, sterilized and all that stuff. That one is worse. But if he said, for example, well, why do we care so much about this? You don't hear us caring that much about North Korea.
Yeah.
Like there is actually better places to...
Well,
I thought that there is, you don't have to, but when you're saying, well, I don't care about that because this is actually worse what's happening in America. Well, that's not true.
Yeah. Well, the other guy in the podcast, Friedberg or whatever, like he said it because he's like, look, this is all just narrative driven. Like, okay, you care about, like, do you care about what's happening in like Yemen?
Exactly.
Or whatever. Like there's a million of these
Well,
things.
that's what everyone likes. And that's what kind of I was saying originally.
It's just, that's not a soundbite.
Everyone likes to have theirs. It's like, you care about this? Well, do you care about the war crimes that are happening right now?
Yeah.
It's like, it's not possible. And it's like, well, how about this? Do you care about this kid that just has leukemia? It's impossible to,
I mean, the downfall
in any sort of actual way that helps care about all the things. Like, and that just shouldn't even, that's like a truism.
Yeah. I mean, this only became such a big thing because there was literally a YouTube, like a video clip of him straight up
podcasting gets you murdered.
But like under 5 seconds clip, like perfect soundbite, just being like, yeah, I don't care.
Dude, do you think he has to quit his hedge funds and be a podcaster now?
No. I was thinking though for a moment, because remember the Donald Sterling on the Clippers, who he fucking got caught on the tape that his mistress was recording him saying with the black guys, and they made him sell his team.
That was crazy,
right?
Yeah. I mean, he's a minority shareholder. I don't know if, that would be interesting.
But I was wondering.
That'd be the balls on them for the NBA to be like, you don't care about Uyghur Muslims? You got to sell your stock. It'd be like, really?
Yeah, you got to sell 10% of your team. But
really, NBA?
I mean, there was a part of me when this started blowing up, I go, I wonder if this is going to happen.
Well, he says, I'm telling you the very hard, ugly truth, okay? Of all the things I care about, it's below my line. And he says he repeated that a genocide was below his line. And, this is them. He did not repeat a genocide is below my line. That's not what
I think
he said.
when he says, I don't care. He actually means like, I'm not actually going to do something about it.
Yes.
That's what it means below my line.
And he also means
I'm not
that like collective, no one cares.
Yeah.
That it's not. And to be honest, like, I think that there is something to be said about same with like Russia and all those places. Like, it's fun to kind of be activists for some people and kind of, even for politicians to go out there and sort of grandstand on these issues and be like, this thing's bad's happening. But it's like, it's not your country. Like, what are you going to do about it? What do you plan on doing about it?
Yeah, and you're like,
go to war?
Yeah, and they're not going to sanction. They're not going to sanction like America's not going to sanction China. They're their biggest trading partner.
So who is doing anything? Like, who's doing anything about this other than like people sort of just posting
China,
it?
They're fucking getting shit done.
Well, they're doing something about it. But yeah, it is. There's like lots of terrible stuff happening.
Nobody's doing it because China's just like won't allow anybody to meddle, and they're powerful.
It is pretty crazy when you see what the stuff that's happening over there. But again, I don't believe the media here, let alone like fucking the media on a country. It's like it's increasingly more hard to get your dick because of COVID.
Yeah.
It's increasingly more hard to find out what the actual thing that's going on. Because I've heard,
with the Uyghur thing, like I've seen the
sounds like it's pretty bad.
The what is it, like the drone footage of the people all in like the blue jumpsuits, and there's second accounts of people saying like they're making them like re-educating them, blah blah blah. But I don't think it's anybody saying it's on the scale, because they keep comparing to like the actual Holocaust, and then I don't think anybody's really like has any proof that it's like that, where they're like mass exterminating them. It's fucked up. But again, China's like,
I'm not going to comment on what's actually happening there. I don't think I know.
Well, I don't know. I'm saying just this is like the stuff that I've.
You know what? It's interesting. It's like when the idea is like, what are they? What are you doing to help? It's none of this is about helping. It's all about like, it's like it's that like royal. Yeah, but you're just, yes, obviously we all kind of don't care, but you say you do. It's like, it's very
virtue signaling. It's
I know, but obviously, but I'm sort of saying it's this very like upper class, like, ugh, like, dude, don't actually say that. It's like, you know what I mean? You have to, it's kind of like the construction worker guy could be like, what the fuck do I care about what's going on over there? But it's like the fucking university professor has to be like, oh, it's terrible.
Well, it lacks empathy. Like,
but
there's one thing for you to not care.
Because about their identity.
There's another thing for you to go to a podcast with fucking 2 million listeners and be like, I don't fucking give a shit about the Uyghurs. And then you're like, yeah, you just seem shitty person doing that.
Of course.
Like, again, I don't.
But it's like
I
this
also
code.
Don't.
It's like, hey, we're aristocrats. We don't say that. Obviously, you think it, but like behind closed doors, when you're making deals, you do what you want. But publicly,
of course.
It's got this like very ooh.
But again, I think he's like he thinks of himself as having like fuck you money and uncancelable, and he just says what he wants.
Yeah, well, he goes both. He's sort of in the. He's always
group
sort
chat.
of
The last like 6 or 8 episodes, he's really leading into being this like villain guy a bit, and so I think that was just like
really.
Yeah, he's
well. He's still.
Like they were talking about eating meat or whatever, and it's funny actually because the Friedberg, he's like a vegan, and he said he goes, in the future we'll look back on like factory farming as the equivalent of slavery, and then they were like, what? And he kind of like, he gave his whatever like explanation for it, but it was obviously like that could have easily been an equally as like scandalous soundbite where you go, oh, fucking eating meat's the same as owning a slave.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
And then that episode, Chamath's like, yeah, I'm never gonna stop eating meat. He's like, I love fucking meat,
and I love slavery.
He's like all this stuff, and he's like, I love like animals getting killed. And
well, he came out and basically said that, he kind of said, as a refugee and I fled my country and as a minority, like he kind of said, just so you know, good, but I'm brown. Like, hopefully that counts for something.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you not watch the video? I'm a brown man.
Yeah. So he sort of gets his race in there. And then in December, an independent body in the United Kingdom declared the actions against the Uyghur minority population as an act of genocide. So some independent, government bodies or whatever, like world bodies have been saying this. The ruling was based on evidence that the Chinese government's forced birth control and sterilization policies targeting Uyghurs in the far western Xinjiang province were intended to destroy a significant part of the group's population. So the end of the day, you can see that's bad, but you're right. There's some version of this. I mean, remember Afghanistan? If you said like, imagine you said some version of like, whatever, who cares what's happening in Afghanistan to those women or whatever. It's like, by now, it's like all of the people who would have been like, how could you, haven't talked about it or thought about it in 2 months.
Yeah, I mean, they only talk about it if it's in the news. That like,
If you're told to think about it, so everyone really just sort of does the thing you're supposed to do, right?
Exactly, and again, it's like he just was very callous about it, and
yeah, and whatever though. But this idea that like fucking, you're supposed to the getting people in trouble for podcast stuff is like, Jesus Christ. Like I know what you said, it's a popular podcast, but if you look this up, it was every big news story, from CNN to ABC to like, there's just, when you see those charts of all the news, it was every single one of them. Someone at every news organization was like, hey, you've got to cover what this guy said on the podcast that wasn't that nice.
Yeah. And if anything, in his defense, saying that he didn't care, but I'm saying him saying that he didn't care, causing this soundbite raised like substantial more awareness for this issue than he could have ever done by being like, look, I'm going to put down $100 million to fucking combat this. Like just him being a piece of shit, like way more people know about this than they probably would have last week.
That's true.
So I don't know.
Well, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So this week we've got a fucking sick episode on the Patreon. Help the boys put up numbers, $5 a month, whatever crazy amount of episodes that there are now, and the whole body's there, audio and video for $5. Patreon.com/theboyscast. And follow me, Instagram, Twitter, at Ryan Long Comedy, Danny, at Danny Jokes. Anything you want to plug in your ass?
No. My new show, Low Value Mail. I don't know. I'm just waiting for some.
Sounds like you're not ready to plug it, aren't
stuff.
you?
I'm not. Well, it's either going to be this Tuesday or next Tuesday.
Yeah,
so I don't have the exact date yet. But
yeah, so you don't really know.
But one of those days, in the next 10 days.
Yeah, just mark every Tuesday on your calendar for the next 6 months.
But anyways, if you follow me, I'm going to tweet about it. And then also, subscribe to the Patreon just because I got some crazy plumbing bills coming up.
Peace.